Chapter 21. Wisteria flowers bloom and fall, time flies, and a year passes quietly. During this year, Tiandao Fiiuchen went back to Doshan to visit the old man several times, and spent all the rest of the time learning the 5 basic breathing methods. Fortunately, hard work pays off, he learned all of them, but he was still far from mastering them. His initial idea was to reverse the sun breathing through the 5 basic breathing methods, but in the process of practice he found that this was almost impossible. After thinking about it, he changed his strategy, which was to refine the 5 breathing methods to the extreme. If reverse simplification doesn't work, then create your own breathing method. Different breathing methods have different breathing rhythms. If you rashly convert them during use, it will cause damage to the lungs, which can cause pain to the point of being unable to breathe, or even rupture the alveoli. The 12 sun breathing styles are connected to the 13th style to deal with Musen, and Fiiuchen wants to connect different breathing methods. Under a rock wall outside the headquarters, the terrain is open, and this is the special training ground that Feiyuzhen is looking for. At this moment, the knife in his hand is wrapped with red gold arcs. He aims at the boulder on the open ground and activates thunder breathing type 1. Feiyuzhen turned into a flash of lightning and burst out. At the moment he approached the boulder, he changed his breathing method from thunder breathing to flame breathing. In an instant, a weak flame ignited outside the red gold arc. Before he could swing his sword skills, he suddenly coughed up a mouthful of blood, and the blood drew a shocking arc in the air and splashed on the boulder. At the same time, he felt an unbearable pain spreading from his lungs, as if countless sharp needles had pierced into his lungs. Just now, his alveoli exploded, and he didn't know how many times this had happened this year. Cough, cough, cough. The air squeezed into Feiyuzhen's nasal cavity with difficulty. He covered his chest and knelt on the ground in pain. The feeling of bursting alveoli was not pleasant. Even if he could recover with his amazing recovery ability, the pain would not be reduced at all. Day after day, he trained himself like hell. Not for anything else, just for the belief in his heart. A year ago, Yubiashiki Yoya revealed Feiyuzhen's heart. Protection, he must protect the people around him, no matter how painful the process is, as long as he can become stronger. Tiandao Feiyuzhen has a talent and physique different from ordinary people. Although he is usually lazy, he has been working hard in secret. Is it still not working? He staggered to his feet, as if a gust of wind would blow him down. After a short breath, he muttered to himself and laughed nonchalantly. It didn't explode many alveoli, but I can still practice, haha. What Fiiuchen didn't notice was that there were 4 people hiding in the bushes in the distance. Sister, don't pull me. Zhen is a self-harming behavior, and he is vomiting blood. Kane grabbed her sister's hand, and Coco Shinobu stared at the distance angrily while struggling. How can you train like this? Don't think you can risk your life just because you have a special physique. I'm so angry, he doesn't tell anyone anything. Coco Shinobu's cheeks were puffed up, her mouth was unforgiving, but her hands were shaking. Xiao Shinobu, don't disturb Zhen first. Kane was about to lose her sister, and hurriedly winked at Obanai and Kyojuro. Obanai shook his head. He wished Coco Shinobu would rush out and grab that idiot. What's the point of risking your life? Do you think we are friends? Let's play together. Let me do it. You need to rest if you are injured. Kyojuro's eyes were firm. He knew that he would not be able to persuade him, so he took out a rope from behind. Since he couldn't persuade him, he would tie him up, and then let his mother come out. He looked at Obanai, frowned, and asked seriously, tie him up. That's what I meant. Obanai nodded in agreement, and Kabutomaru stuck out his tongue. As the only calm person at the scene, Kane looked helpless. What kind of teammates are these? Alas! She held her forehead helplessly. If she didn't pay attention, Coco Shinobu would run out like a wild horse. It happened that Toma vomited blood again, and another alveolus exploded. Shinobu, stop it! Coco Shinobu was furious. She was so concerned. Shinobu. Toma Shinobu endured the pain, and squeezed out a smile in confusion. Shinobu, you. Looking at the embarrassed Toma Shinobu, all the words were stuck in her throat, and Shinobu felt distressed. She walked forward, and said in a rare gentle voice, why didn't you tell us? Oh. It's just training, everyone is training, there's nothing to say. Ninja, eat candy, smile. Feiyuzhen took out a piece of fruit candy like a magic trick. You idiot! Idiot! Big idiot. Shinobu Koko finally couldn't help it and started crying. Compared to the first time they met, Shinobu Koko had changed a lot. She was no longer so easily angry and she was more gentle in her straightforwardness. Fei Chen was stunned. His firm heart became flustered. He was usually talkative and was at a loss for words. No. Shinobu. You listened to my explanation. You made her cry. That's right, my mother said that girls can't be bullied. Obanai and Kyojuro stood on the left and right of Shinobu Koko, one making sarcastic remarks and the other playing with the rope. Why are you two here too? Not only them, but also me. Kane poked her head out with a serious expression. She was always gentle and rarely acted like this. Everyone knew Fei Chan's secret, but that didn't mean he could do whatever he wanted. Sister Hui. Fei Chan lowered his head guiltily. Was he really forcing himself? He couldn't help but ask. He didn't say it just because he didn't want to make others worry. Tie him up. Kane originally planned to reason with Toma, but Shinobu was crying, and this kid didn't realize that he was wrong at all. Be gentle, tie your hands and feet, and carry him to the medical department. Kane reminded him as she looked at the eager Xiaobanai and Kyojuro. Zhen can practice, and can make everyone worry, but can't hide it from everyone. Okay. Is it not okay for me to go? Can you please stop? Damn, why did you start, Xiaobanai? You bastard just want to mess with me. Cough cough cough. Zhen, be careful. Shinobu Koko wiped her tears and said worriedly. Brother, this is not like you. Ah ha ha ha, this strategy was proposed by me, boy. Kyojuro said proudly. Toma, hey. Just like that, Obanai and Kyojuro tied Toma's hands and feet, and carefully carried him to the medical department. Makoto, you can practice, but we can do it together in the future. Kane suggested with a smile. Okay. No. Idiot. Before Toma finished speaking, Shinobu Koko pinched his face and physically interrupted him. Shinobu, you will never get married if you are so violent. What do you care? Under the setting sun, 4 small figures surrounded Toma, and he screamed like a pig being slaughtered. Chapter 22. The sun was shining brightly, and the 3 boys fought back and forth in the special training field. This match was a 1-on-2 match between Toma Shin. Shin, don't hold back. Let's burn. Ha ha ha. Kyojuro was like the protagonist of a hot-blooded manga, his voice was like a lion's roar, and when the battle was in full swing, he started with sword skills. Breathing of flame 1 type Shiranui. He took a step forward, and his momentum instantly surged. Then his body was like a speeding train, burning with blazing flames, rushing towards Toma Shin. Toma Shin was also eager to fight, his golden eyes were as hot as fire, and the breathing of flame was activated. In an instant, the 2 flames collided, and the strong blade wind forced Obanai to retreat. He held the wooden sword tightly, and his heterochromatic eyes were like a hunting python, ready to launch an unexpected attack at any time. In the past year, Obanai has derived his own breathing method through the breathing of water. He was also the first person among his peers to create his own breathing method, and his talent was equally good. Finally, he found the flaw between the 2 burning flames. His body shrank suddenly, and then he quickly slid to the side of Fei Chen like a venomous snake. His flexible movements caused the surrounding air to be stirred by his speed, forming streams of air, which were like a hunting white venomous snake. Snake breathing type 2 narrow head fangs. The wooden sword in Obanai's hand passed through the 2 people fighting and went straight to Fei Chen's head. Success! The corners of Obanai's mouth curled up under the bandage, everything was under control, and of course he was happiest when he could beat up this bitch. He was furious when he thought of this guy stuffing mustard into his rice ball. When there was no danger, Zhen was the biggest danger. Seeing that he was about to be surrounded by the 2, Fei Chen's blade suddenly turned, and in an instant, dozens of fiery red blade winds formed a vortex with him as the center. Flame-breathing 4th form flame whirlpool. The powerful force shook Obanai and Kyojuro away, but the 2 did not have a vacuum period at all, and 2 sharp sword skills attacked Fei Chen from the front. Before the competition began, Fei Chen said that the 2 did not need to hold back, who let him take the beating. These young boys are also honest, and they don't care about other things when they fight. Kyojuro activated flame-breathing 5 form flame tiger, and almost used up all his strength to stab forward. A flaming tiger quietly awakened and opened its bloody mouth to bite Fei Yuchen. Obanai also rushed forward with all his strength, and even the wooden sword in his hand was about to break. He really did it when he said he would fight, and he was absolutely unambiguous. Snake Breath Type 5 Long Winding Snake was activated, and Fei Yuchen couldn't help but tremble all over. His perception was already strong, and the moment he looked at Xiao Baniai, it seemed as if a python was strangling his body. On one side was the blazing fire, and on the other side was the unexpected snake. Seeing that the sword skill was about to engulf Fei Yuchen, the two realized that they had gone too far. It's over, I can't stop it. Then I'll believe it. The sword skill was like a violent storm, attacking Fei Yuchen with overwhelming force. Let me respond to you too. Fei Yuchen's short dark red hair fluttered, his eyebrows curved, and his blood boiled. The knife was raised, and in the blink of an eye, he swung out nearly dozens of slashes, and the huge red gold blade wind condensed into shape. From a distance, it looked like a unicorn with its mouth opened. I saw the red gold arc ignited, spreading along the wooden sword to his whole body. Fei Yuchen has mastered the breath of thunder, and condensed the secrets of speed and high burst into a sword technique. This is his own breath. The breath of Tao. The breath created by Tiandao Fei Yuchen is different from the 5 major breathing methods and their derived breaths. It does not have a standard move. This move derived from the breath of thunder is called Kailan. The breath of Tao thunder form Kailan. As Kailan was played, Fei Yuchen broke the sword moves of Kyojuro and Obanai with a force that could destroy everything. A strong gust of wind whistled past, accompanied by rolling thunder. Then, Kyojuro and Obanai flew backwards, and the wooden swords in their hands broke into several pieces. It's great, it's so strong, Zhen. Kyojuro was not angry but laughed very happily. This is the fastest way to improve. Pervert. Obanai sighed. He had thought about catching up with this guy before, but now he has forgotten it. But he was not jealous, but happy for Fei Yuchen from the bottom of his heart. God knows how many alveoli that guy exploded. No one can replicate his sword skills, because no one has abnormal recovery ability and self-harm will. The two of them lay on the grass in a big shape, convinced of defeat. The wooden sword in Fei Yuchen's hand was even more exaggerated, and it was a bit burned, and also broken into several pieces. His hands were still shaking, and his lungs felt numb. It really consumed a lot of energy. Fei Yuchen walked towards the two and lay down between them. Makoto, this is the breathing method you created. It's just like a little cow taking an airplane. Kyojuro praised him without hesitation, and his voice was loud. Of course, he learned this from Fei Yuchen. Of course, ha ha ha. Fei Yuchen agreed shamelessly. I told you that you were fat and you gasped for breath. You don't even care about your face. Obanai was always sharp-tongued, and glared at Fei Yuchen. Also, you hit me hard. He was such a person, he couldn't keep things in his heart. If he had any opinions about someone, he would say it to their face, and he would never gossip or say bad things about people behind their backs. But most of the time, the words became sharp-tongued after passing through Obanai's mouth. You're still accusing me of holding back. Fei Yuchen rolled his eyes and complained indignantly. I definitely didn't hold back, and I used all my strength, ha ha ha. Otherwise, how could I fight so heartily? I feel that I have a deeper understanding of the breath of fire. In time, I will definitely become stronger. Ha ha ha. Kyojuro raised his right arm with a fist high, still the little sun, and his whole body exuded a warm breath like sunshine, infecting others. Soon, Fei Yuchen and Obanai laughed with their eldest brother, and the 3 boys laughed. After a while, Kyojuro suddenly asked, by the way, will you two go to the final selection this year? Of course I will go. I can't wait to kill those evil ghosts. I'll participate too. Fei Yuchen looked at the clouds floating leisurely in the sky. If he remembered correctly, the 2 boys with fox masks would also participate. Even if he didn't meet them, he would kill the hand ghosts first to prevent future troubles. I remember that Kane and Koko Shinobu are not going to participate in this year's selection. The eldest brother looked at Toma and mentioned it. Also, that skinny girl hasn't shown up for a long time. She won't poison herself to death, will she? Xiao Baniai complained, she seems to have asked me for the snake venom of Kabutomaru. The 2's words made Toma realize a problem. He hasn't seen Shinobu for a long time. I can't help but feel a little worried, after all, Shinobu is a strong person. He stood up with a somersault, patted his butt, and left without looking back. Chapter 23. During dinner, Fei Yu-chan ate absent-mindedly. He would never do that when eating since he was a child. But the problem was that Shinobu didn't come tonight, and he was panicking. With a poor appetite, he only ate half a bowl of rice, and then hurriedly left the Purgatory family. He came to the medical department as quickly as possible, strolling around idly, looking forward to a chance encounter with Shinobu. But things didn't go as planned. Not to mention Shinobu, Fei Yu-chan didn't even see Kane. So, he stood at the entrance of the medical department with a sad face like a door god, and the passing medical staff and wounded were really scared. Gradually, the bright moon was hanging high, and Fei Yu-chan was like a heartbroken tomcat, holding his chin with both hands, sighing and sitting outside the door of the medical department. Alas! Where is Shinobu? Life is so boring. Just then, Kane came from a distant path with a lunchbox, and she saw Fei Yu-chan at a glance. Suddenly, her eyes flashed, and she trotted to his side. "Zhen, are you sad that you can't see Shinobu? I know where she is, please do me a favor." As soon as Kane finished speaking, Fei Yu-chan was full of energy, rubbing her hands with a smile, and said, "Sister Hui, please use me as much as you want." Kane tilted her head, always feeling that Zhen's words were strange. "Shinobu is." After a moment, she explained the dilemma in her heart. Shinobu was too strong and angry, the kind that even her sister couldn't persuade. But Shinobu was angry with himself. If anyone could say who could do it now, I'm afraid it was only Fei Yu-chan. "Sister Hui, do you have paper and pen?" "Hey!" Fei Yu-chan's question made Kane stunned for a moment. "What do you need that kind of thing for? To write a love letter?" No, Shinobu is too young, she needs to grow up a little more. But Zhen is a person worth entrusting. Alas! So tangled. "Fei Yu-chan, Sister Hui? Oh. I'm here, wait for me." After a while, Kane handed Fei Yu-chan a pen and paper and said something that confused him. "Shinobu is still young, wait a few more years. Come on." She patted Fei Yu-chan's shoulder and walked back to the medical department with an aunt's smile, leaving Fei Yu-chan messy in the wind. "I just want to draw a design." Without thinking any more, he left the medical department excitedly. The soft moonlight was like an ice silk quilt, gently covering the demon slayer core. In a secluded clearing in the forest, Shinobu Koko chopped the rock in front of her with a knife. The training of trainers is step by step, first chopping wooden stakes, then chopping boulders, only in this way can the neck of the evil spirit be cut off. Unfortunately, Koko Shinobu was too weak. She had a hard time even chopping off a wooden stake, let alone a rock. "Damn it, why can't I chop it off?" Koko Shinobu roared unwillingly. She trained frantically all day long just to catch up with her companions. The appearance of Hyujin changed the timeline, causing Koko Shinobu to know too many excellent swordsmen, especially Hyujin. Her sister learned the breath of flowers because she was worried that she would give up the final selection this year. Obanai created the breath of snakes, Kyojuro mastered the breath of flame, and her father was a pillar. As for Hyujin, whom Koko Shinobu had been chasing, he was the best among them. "Koko Shinobu, you must not be working hard enough. You must work twice as hard or even harder." Shinobu clenched the training knife, and the blood blisters on her hand burst. The blood soon dyed the bandage red, but she turned a blind eye to it, gritted her teeth, and swung the knife over and over again. Compared with the pain that Hyujin had endured, what was hers? Butterfly Ren was unwilling, angry, afraid, and upset. She was unwilling to fall behind others, angry about her weakness, and afraid that she could not accompany her companions. She has always been the strong child. Finally, she ran out of energy and sat down beside the rock, tears rolling in her eyes. Weak, pitiful, and helpless, it was heartbreaking. Suddenly, the moonlight in front of her was blocked, and then a sweet thing was stuffed into her mouth. Fei Yuzhen was like a mysterious elf, quietly coming, with a reassuring smile on his face and heartache in his eyes. "Ren, eat a piece of chocolate, I asked my uncle to bring it back from the big city." Butterfly Ren hurriedly turned her head to the side, she didn't want Fei Yuzhen to see her weak side. Thank you." She tried her best to suppress her crying and grievances in her heart, otherwise she would really cry. Fei Yuzhen turned around and didn't say anything. He waited for her quietly, just waiting. Shinobu is a strong person, he wants to give the other person time to adjust his emotions. The tranquility dissipated, Kachi Shinobu sorted out his emotions and pretended change the subject as if nothing had happened. Zhen, it's late at night, why don't you sleep? Hearing this, Fei Yuchen turned around and said nonsense seriously, I ate too much, I was taking a walk. But as soon as he finished speaking, his stomach grumbled in protest. Oh, okay, I only ate half a bowl of rice today. Fei Yuchen scratched his head awkwardly and continued, I'm too idle, I just took a walk, hee. My sister told you. No, absolutely not. Okay, yes. Fei Yuchen lowered his head, feeling very guilty. Coco Shinobu squeezed out a smile and said, Zhen doesn't lie. But thank you for coming to see me, I'm much better. As long as she sees Fei Yuchen, Coco Shinobu will turn on the automatic treatment mode. Then I'll ask you a question. Ask. Besides sunlight and cutting off the neck, what else can kill a demon? Shinobu Coco turned her head slightly, her purple eyes were as clear and transparent as a deep lake, reflecting the face of Toma, with a little bit of doubt in her eyes. Because Toma's question was stupid, anyone who was a member of the Demon Slayer Corps knew it. The demon was afraid of sunlight and wisteria flowers, and the Nichiren sword could kill it. It's wisteria. Yes. Fei Yuzhen rubbed Shinobu's little head and joked, smart baby. Cao Shinobu pouted, glared at him, and said, I'm not a child anymore. Whatever Shinobu says is true. Then the second question, what are you good at? Hearing this, she said without hesitation, pharmacological knowledge and identification of herbs. Yet. Fei Yuzhen nodded, this is Shinobu's strength. Medicine is medicine, but it can also be poison. Poison. Cao Shinobu opened her mouth and suddenly realized that she was really giving herself advice. Wisteria is poison to ghosts, so there is another way to kill evil ghosts, which is poison, wisteria. In fact, with Cao Shinobu's cleverness, she will realize this sooner or later. Fei Yuzhen is just guiding her and bringing the process forward. Shinobu, congratulations! Fei Yuzhen clapped his hands and was happy for Shinobu from the bottom of his heart. Shinobu smiled, he felt that life had hope again, perfect. Just when Shinobu Coco was excited, Fei Yuzhen unexpectedly gave her a hug, and he said distressfully. Don't force yourself, take care of yourself, I'm always here. Chapter 24. Thank you, Shin. Shinobu Coco was stunned for a long time before she spoke slowly. At the same time, the sadness in her heart disappeared. I got it. So fragrant and soft. At this moment, the one who really wanted to thank was Toma Shin. A little angel Toma Shin appeared beside him. The angel shook his head and said with contempt. Dead pervert, bah. Toma Shin reluctantly let go of Shinobu, and then took out a piece of paper from his arms. This was the temporary drawing he drew. The drawing showed the future insect Pilla's sun wheel sword. In order to give the current Shinobu more confidence, he drew the strange sun wheel sword. With Shinobu Coco's puzzled expression, the little heavenly Deo class began. Shinobu, I'm not a swordsmith, but I have an idea. You can develop breathing techniques based on this. Of course, using poison requires strengthening the basic technique of stabbing. Fei Yuzhen said a lot of things, and Coco Shinobu was a good student in the class, nodding like a chicken pecking at rice, and would put forward her own opinions. After a while, the Xiao Shandao class ended. Coco Shinobu threw herself into Fei Yuzhen's arms with a bear hug, shouting, Zhen, you are such a genius, I like your ideas so much. Fei Yuzhen turned her head to the side, with 7 points of happiness and 3 points of disappointment between her eyebrows. Why did Shinobu like the idea instead of me? Damn idea! Now, Coco Shinobu has no worries, and Fei Yuzhen can participate in the final selection with peace of mind. Shinobu said goodbye to Fei Yuzhen with a hop and skip, and returned to the medical department in a hurry, pushing open her sister's door. Sister, I can kill demons now, and I don't have to cut their necks. Sister, I'm very happy. You're so smart. Kane patted her sister's head, and she knew there was a way. Half a month later, at the entrance of the headquarters. The 3 teenagers were ready to go, and Aunt Liuhuo saw them off. Because they were in a hurry, Fei Yuzhen and the other 2 had to leave half a month in advance. Rengoku Liuhuo had tears in her eyes. For so long, she had already regarded Fei Yuzhen and Obanai as her own children, not to mention that her eldest son Kyojuro was also there. A mother worries when her children travel thousands of miles away. It is understandable that she felt pain in her heart when she said goodbye to 3 children at once. After all, the 3 of them were not traveling far away but participating in the final selection, which was a selection that they really risked their lives to participate in. In order to kill all the demons, the selection of the Demon Slayer Corps has always been cruel, even if it is not mandatory. Mother, we are very strong, don't worry. Kyojuro hugged his mother and comforted her. Yes, I'm a genius, Aunt Huo. The 3 of us are together, and we have nothing to fear. Xiao Banii nodded. This was one of the few times when he was not venomous. The goal of the 3 was not as simple as passing the final selection. They had to kill all the evil spirits on the entire Fujixe mountain. You 3 should be careful and pay attention to safety. This is very important. Rengoku Liuhuo said earnestly. She had said this sentence dozens of times. After the farewell, the 3 set off, and Fei Chen looked back every 3 steps. Maybe he has something to do. Xiao Banii elbowed Fei Chen and said gloatingly. Fei Chen rolled his eyes at Xiao Banii. This guy really deserves a beating. Suddenly, the panting voice of Koko Shinobu came from a distance. Shinobu, wait a minute, wait. Hearing the voice he wanted to hear, Fei Chen turned around with joy, and Koko Shinobu happened to jump into his arms. She stuffed a bottle of purple liquid into Fei Chen's hands, and she smelled strongly of wisteria flowers. I developed a first-generation wisteria poison, you can use it, come on. Shinobu Koko stood up straight, with heavy dark circles under her eyes and a smile as beautiful as a flower. In order to catch up, she didn't sleep all night. Shinobu, I will definitely work hard. Fei Chen held the small glass bottle tightly. It was a smiling cue like Fei Chen. Shinobu Koko used the packaging of saving your life for 3,000 years. No, I'm not a good brother. Why don't I have it? Kyojuro stared at the purple bottle curiously and complained unhappily. It's really not nice. Why is there only a good for nothing? Xiao Ban nodded, feeling sour in her heart. Everyone has it. Kane suddenly appeared, with the corners of her mouth raised and a gentle smile on her face. To be honest, she was not worried about her friends at all. She knew how strong they were. Okay. Kane pulled the 2 10,000-watt light bulbs aside, let's go to the side. Kyojuro's face was full of questions, and he asked, why? No reason. Kane smiled and glanced to the side where Toma and Koko Shinobu were. The 2 of them stood there stupidly, and Koko Shinobu didn't know what to do next after getting the purple wisteria poison. The air was quiet for a while. She looked up, her clear purple eyes were like 2 full moons, with some worry in them. She didn't want to tell her worries, for fear of disturbing Fei Yuzhen's heart. She didn't feel much at first, until the moment of parting, the uneasiness came to her heart. Zhen, remember to help me record the effect, this is your idea, and it is also my strength. After saying it, Koko Shinobu regretted what she said. Okay. Since you put forward this idea, I will definitely take responsibility to the end. Fei Yuzhen looked into Koko Shinobu's eyes, raised his lips and smiled, he was very serious. Be careful. Don't be stubborn, although you are strong, you have to rely on Xiao Banii and brother Kyojuro more. Also, eat well, you have to eat enough. I know you have a strong recovery ability, but don't care about the injury, it hurts. Koko Shinobu pinched the corner of her clothes a little awkwardly, and said a lot without realizing it. Some words don't need to be prepared, some feelings don't need to be concealed, everything will come naturally. Fei Yuzhen smiled with curved eyebrows, he raised his hand, gently rubbed Shinobu's little head, and said. Don't worry, I'm very strong. Also, go back and have a good sleep. Goodbye. Goodbye. After the farewell, Fei Yuzhen and the other 2 left the headquarters. On the way, Xiao Banii cleared his throat and said in the tone of Koko Shinobu. Don't be stubborn, rely on me and Kyojuro more, Shin. Fei Yuzhen glared at Xiao Banii, really speechless. What should I do? I'm so excited, I can finally use fighting to hone myself, ha ha ha. Kyojuro laughed, and his sword was already thirsty. Brother, you don't have to be too excited, it's just a ghost. As the only one in the trio who has killed a ghost, Fei Yuzhen is not cold at all. What, have you ever beheaded a demon? Hearing this, Toma's nose was raised high, and he pretended to be a little bit. He. I have taken down 3 evil demons. As soon as the voice fell, Kyojuro's eyes were full of stars, and he asked expectantly. Shin, what does it feel like to behead a demon? Of course it is. Obanai on the side rolled his eyes at Toma and complained. You know you are arrogant, so you can show off. Soon, the 3 ran out of the mountains and headed for Fujisaki Mountain. Of course, the separation did not only happen at the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters, but also at Sagari Mountain. Chapter 25. Sagiriyama. This mountain is surrounded by fog all year round, hence the name. The former water pillar, Urokodaka Seikanji, lived in seclusion here. After retiring to the second line, he has been quietly exerting his remaining warmth as one of the trainers of water breathing. Today, he will send his apprentice to participate in the final selection again. At the foot of the mountain, 2 young men stood side by side, one with a confident and sunny smile on his face, and the other with a sad face, as if someone owed me 100 million. Satoshi and Tomioka Jiyu, the most talented duo in the history of water breathing, especially Satoshi. In front of the 2 stood their master, Urokodaka Seikanji, an old man wearing a red Tengu mask. Master, Master! Satoshi shouted several times in a row, but Urokodaka Seikanji never answered, and no one noticed that Urokodaka's hands were shaking. For him, the final selection is a nightmare that no matter how good the apprentice is, he will never come back. None of the senior brothers and sisters before Santu and Yayu have returned yet. Kids, do you really have to go? Urokodaka Seikanji came back to his senses and spoke in a hoarse voice. He wanted to persuade them to stay for the last time. He didn't want his apprentices to die in vain. Master, I will definitely go, and I will also carry forward our lineage. I will definitely take over your class and become a water pillar. Santu's flesh-colored short hair fluttered, telling of the boy's confidence. As he said that, he touched his good brother beside him. Yiyang, don't you think so? Yiyang stared with dead fish eyes, spoke calmly, without any emotional ups and downs, and said. Satsuto, I can't do it, just you come. Ah! Satsuto hugged Yiyang, gave him a slap, and encouraged him energetically. Yiyang, you can definitely do it, believe me, no problem. Urokodaka Seikanji knew that it was useless to say more, all he could do was believe in his disciples. This time he was still full of expectations, because Satsuto was definitely the most talented disciple he had ever taught. Yiyang was also not bad. He had only practiced for more than half a year, but he completed the test of cutting off the boulder, which was much stronger than his senior sister Makoto, who first became his disciple. Urokodaka Seikanji took out 2 fox masks from his arms and handed them to the 2 disciples. These were the masks for eliminating disasters that he made by himself. Go with the masks to ward off disasters. Be sure to come back safely, Master is waiting for good news from you too. Xiantu and Yiyang put on the masks, which fit them very well. Master, believe me, I am very strong. Xiantu bent his arms and made a muscle-showing motion, his smile was still so confident. Yiyang nodded and said nothing. You are so strong, how can we trust 2 guys who are always forgetful? Ah! A voice of anger rushed out from the mist, it was a girl's voice, it sounded very spiritual. Then, the 2 bundles guided accurately and hit Xiantu and Yiyang in the head. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Xiantu covered his head and screamed, jumping back and forth in pain, as if the ground was burning his feet. On the other hand, Yiyang did not change his face with the bundle on his head, his mentality was very stable, but in fact he was almost dead. A girl walked out of the mist. She was wearing a short kimono with a plum blossom pattern, with long hair that fell on her shoulders. She put her hands on her waist, and her dark green eyes shot out 2 disappointed looks. The girl's name was Zhengu, she was the junior sister of Santu, the senior sister of Yiyang, and the real housekeeper of Sakiyama. She walked past her master and walked straight towards the duo. Santu was so scared that she hid behind Yiyang, and Yiyang took a few steps back. This was the pressure of Zhengu, which was terribly strong. Zhengu, stop! No! Zhengu glared at Santu, then stretched out her hand and pinched Yiyang's face. Little junior brother, smile. Zhengu, we're leaving, bye. Taking advantage of Zhengu's inattention, Santu decisively dragged Yiyang away. The little heart couldn't bear it. After all, her murderous aura was too strong. It was just that she didn't take the bag. Alas! Looking at the senior and junior brothers who ran away, Zhengu sighed, and the worry in her eyes was revealed. She bent her hands and put them to her mouth and shouted, "Come on, you two, you must come back, otherwise I will never forgive you." "I will definitely come back, wait." Suunta waved his hand and shouted loudly. Fujixe Mountain. From a distance, this mountain is divided into two parts by two colors. The lower part of the mountainside is bright purple, and the upper part of the mountainside is blackish green. The purple is a large wisteria forest, a prison built by the Demon Slayer Corps with a lot of time and countless resources. It's just that the prisoners here are not people, but demons. The wisteria flowers on Fujixe Mountain are in full bloom all year round, like a purple flame that never goes out. These vines are intertwined and intertwined, forming a huge purple scarf, as if half of the mountain range is covered with purple vines. All are shrouded in it. On the mountain path, the three people of Feiyu-chen walked slowly. From time to time, people of the same age passed by the three people. Most of them lowered their heads, looked very uneasy, and their eyes revealed helplessness and confusion. Fear enveloped them, because what happened next might kill them. For normal people, fear and tension are normal. Suddenly, a boy who was walking hurriedly bumped into Feiyu-chen. It was obviously him who bumped into someone else, but the boy sat on the ground. Sorry, I didn't mean it." The boy lowered his head and kept apologizing. His tone was panicked, he was really scared. "It's okay." Feiyu-chen pulled the boy up, and then he could see the other person's appearance clearly. Black short hair with a middle part, black pupils, a decent appearance, wearing a black clothes-fitting outfit, looks like an inconspicuous passerby. "Damn!" Double exclamation mark. "Isn't this brother Murata?" Although he was not very old, Feiyu-chen still recognized him at a glance. "Hey!" Murata shivered. This person had been staring at him. Would he hit him? "Brother, I was wrong, isn't that enough? Don't hit me." Feiyu-chen's mouth twitched and asked, "Do I look like a bad guy?" Murata smiled bitterly and replied in a low voice, "Brother, the three of you lined up in a row, as happy as if you were on a picnic. It's hard not to be scared." "Ah ha ha ha." Feiyu-chen smiled awkwardly. It was indeed a bit ostentatious to say so. He patted Murata on the shoulder and said, "Do your best. Goodbye." Murata was relieved that he didn't get beaten and hurried up the mountain. Feiyu-chen and the other two were still walking up the mountain as if they were really on a picnic. At this moment, an anxious urging voice came from behind the three of them. "Yiyang, hurry up. Otherwise we'll be late." Feiyu-chen was startled and looked back quickly, only to see two figures approaching quickly not far behind him. Coincidentally, a breeze blew by at this moment, and the wisteria flowers swayed gently, exuding bursts of fragrance, and the petals fell like snow, giving people a dreamlike feeling. Among the fallen flowers, there were two boys wearing fox masks. Sensing the gazes of others, Santu and Yiyang looked up at the same time, and happened to meet Feiyu-chen's eyes. Chapter 26. "Do we know each other?" asked Suuntu, because Feiyu-chen's eyes were so strange that he had the illusion that they were acquaintances, but they were acquaintances that he had no impression of at all. Hearing this, Feiyu-chen smiled slightly and said sincerely, "Maybe I have met them before." Suuntu touched Yiyang and asked, "You know him?" Yiyang shook his head, he didn't know this person at all. "Oh. Even if I haven't seen him before, I have seen him now." Feiyu-chen was very familiar and thick-skinned, mainly because he had really seen the two of them, although it was one-sided. "I forgot to introduce myself, Tiandao Feiyu-chen." He extended his hand in a friendly manner, "I think you and I are destined to be together, let's make friends." To be honest, Santa didn't dislike this outgoing guy. After all, it's good to make friends when going out. He held Feiyu-chen's hand and said, "Santu, please take care of me in the future." In this way, after a few times, the five of them went hiking together. Except for Yiyang who didn't speak the whole time, the others had a good chat. The halfway point of Fujixe Mountain is almost the end of the wisteria forest. There is a platform here. As Feiyu-chen and his group climbed the stone platform, all the swordsmen who participated in the selection were in place. This time, about 25 people participated in the final selection. Compared with previous years, there are many people this time. The mountain path is like a winding snake, slowly moving along the mountain. When the path comes to the end of the stone platform, a red torii comes into view. This torii gate is like a door to hell, standing on one side of the stone platform. Its red body contrasts sharply with the surrounding green mountains and forests, as if it was carved out of blood. Under the torii gate stood a tall man with long hair like burning flames. It was Rengoku Makijiro. He actually arrived only an hour earlier than the swordsman, and had just completed a mission. Nowadays, the Demon Slayer Corps is short of manpower, and there is no way to use one pillar as 10 pillars. The most shocked were the three little Toyo Shinzo, who would never have thought that they would meet Makijiro in this way. Makijiro glanced at the three and said nothing more. He cleared his throat and a passionate voice sounded. Everyone, I am the Flame Pillar, Rengoku Makijiro, and I am also the invigilator of your selection this time. Makijiro was like a speaker, his voice was deafening, which boosted the low morale a lot. The final selection rules are very simple. Makijiro turned sideways and pointed to the torii gate with one hand. Rush through here and survive for 7 days on a mountain full of evil spirits, that's all. After 7 days, if you can stand here alive, congratulations, you succeeded. As soon as he finished speaking, he pointed to the way down the mountain and said, if you are afraid of death, you still have time to regret. Go down the mountain. It's not shameful because everyone wants to live. Makijiro finished speaking. He would give these children time to think and make a decision. After a while, no one left. They might be afraid, or afraid of death, but they were definitely not cowards. Most of them have an irreconcilable hatred with evil spirits. As long as the evil spirits are not destroyed, their bodies will not stop. Makijiro nodded with a look of satisfaction and shouted loudly. Very good. The future of the Demon Slayer Corps is entrusted to you. I wish you all good luck in martial arts. The selection begins. He took the initiative to make way for Kyojuro, who was the first to rush out of the crowd. When they passed the torii gate, the father and son looked at each other, and everything was self-evident. At this moment, Makijiro was not an examiner but a father. He personally sent his son into the cruel hell, and the purgatory family has been like this for generations. Come on, son. Kyojuro read his father's lip language. He gripped the hilt of the knife, turned back to look at the road ahead, his blood boiling, and he would definitely live up to the name of purgatory. Obanai followed closely behind. He nodded to Makijiro, and chased after Kyojuro at the fastest speed. With someone taking the lead, the young swordsman filed out and embarked on the journey without hesitation. Tiendao Fiuchen was the last person to step into the torii. With a confident and calm smile, he said in a firm and powerful voice. Uncle, after 7 days, there will be no ghosts alive on Fujiki Mountain. We are so strong. Hearing this, Makijiro laughed heartily. He chose to believe his son and Fiuchen, even if there were 100 ghosts on Fujiki Mountain at the moment. As Fiuchen's figure disappeared at the end of the wisteria forest, only Makijiro was left on the huge stone platform. At this moment, his crow fell and issued a task. Purgatory, purgatory, there are ghosts, a day's walk from here. Okay. The children are working hard, and I can't fall behind. Makijiro ran down the mountain quickly, with a smile on his face, looking forward to good news 7 days later. The large area of wisteria flowers was like a movie. Like a piece of lantern, he ran after Toma, and the afterglow of the setting sun was like a long arrow, piercing through the junction of the mountain and the foot of the mountain, and passed through Toma. From a distance, the tall Fujiki Mountain looked like someone had tied a golden ribbon vertically. On this ribbon road, Kyojuro took the lead, followed by Obanai, then Santo and Jiu in the middle of the team, and finally Toma. He was right, the swordsmen in this final selection were terribly strong. The 5 future pillars were among them, which could be called the most luxurious lineup in history. From a distance, the golden afterglow covered half of Fujiki Mountain, but it was getting smaller and smaller, and the golden ribbon was disappearing. Gradually, only a corner of the mountain was covered by the golden light, and finally it disappeared completely. It was dark. The whole mountain was restless, and the evil spirits should come out to look for food. The final selection of the Demon Slayer Corps is a life and death test for the swordsman, but a feast for the demons. It's time to eat. That group of stupid humans are here to die again. I want to eat 10. Most of the swordsmen who participated in the selection are idiots. That's right, I haven't eaten meat for a long time. Humans will not die well. Bloodthirsty and crazy voices rang out from the depths of the mountains, and pairs of scarlet eyes quietly opened, full of greed. They had been holding back for too long. 100 demons against 25 fledgling swordsmen seemed to have a good chance of winning, but what these demons could not have imagined was that someone was cheating, and there was more than one. The sky was as dark as ink, and the demons cleared out. In the deepest part of Fujiki Mountain, there was a place shrouded in layers of fog. It was so quiet that there were no wild animals. Suddenly, a pair of cold, brown eyes opened suddenly, breaking the silence. These eyes are like demons from the abyss, revealing endless chill. Looking closely, it is found that these eyes are actually grown on a huge flesh ball that looks like countless arms. The dark green arms are constantly squirming, as if looking for a target, and the whole flesh ball exudes a suffocating breath, which makes people shudder. The disciple of that guy Urokita is here to die again, he he he. The creepy laughter echoed in the deep mountains, and the most cunning ghost in Fujishi Mountain took action. Chapter 27. The weak moonlight could hardly penetrate the dark night sky, and could only vaguely outline some vague outlines. In this vast wilderness, a nimble figure was flashing back and forth, and the orange-red flames emanating from the figure also kept leaping with his movement, like a lively fire phoenix dancing in the air. Kyojuro swung an arc-shaped slash from bottom to top, and the flames penetrated half of the evil ghost's body. He quickly changed his sword horizontally, and the flame-breathing one-type Shiranui was activated, and the beheading was successful. After sheathing the sword, he turned around and pulled up the fallen swordsman, and his hearty laughter impressed Murata. This guy is like the Invigilator, so warm. Your name is Murata, right? You must work hard. I'm going to kill the devil, ha ha ha. Kyojuro patted Murata on the shoulder and laughed away. Unlike other swordsmen, Kyojuro was getting more and more excited as he fought, and he was much more relaxed when beheading demons than Toma described. Soon, Kyojuro set his sights on another target. After a few short battles, the demon was defeated and fled at the speed of light. It didn't know what was wrong this year. Are all the human kids on drugs? So fierce, it just escaped from a crazy little demon with a snake wrapped around its neck, and now it met another madman who would laugh loudly. Blood demon art earth escape. There are demons who can do blood demon art, so powerful. Ha ha ha. Kyojuro's eyes lit up, as if he saw a delicious food, and he chased all the way, but unfortunately, he lost it. The earth escape demon didn't even dare to sneak attack, and hid in the woods all the way. The terrain there was complicated and suitable for hiding. It swore that it didn't want to see that laughing human again in its life. Late at night, the deep forest seemed particularly quiet. There was no wind, but the leaves were shaking gently. The moonlight shines through the swaying branches, like a broken silver plate, scattered on the ground, forming patches of mottled light and shadow. In the light and shadow is a raised stone, on which is a small bottle, which is a Q like Feiyusian making a face. The bottle mouth is open, and the smell of blood spreads. Suddenly, a big bag bulges on the ground, and the earth ghost jumps out from the ground, drooling. It takes a deep breath of air, its greedy eyes flashing, and every cell in its body is eager, because it is rare blood. Ha ha ha. Rare blood, it turns out that there is rare blood in this group of human cubs, how lucky. The greed in the heart blinded the eyes of the earth ghost, and it reached out to grab the blood bottle. Hey! No, why would rare blood be placed here for no reason? Finally, the only remaining trace of reason returned, and anyone who is not an idiot can see that this is a trap. But it was too late. 4 red gold blades flashed, and the limbs of the earth ghost flew around and fell down. Because he had been running around all the time, the earth ghost had consumed too much physical strength, and his recovery ability had dropped significantly, so his limbs could only grow slowly. Oh my! Why isn't it the hand ghost again? I'm so unlucky. Feiyusian squatted beside the earth ghost, feeling very disappointed. He seriously suspected that the hand ghost's hatred for Mr. Urokotaki exceeded the temptation of thin blood. It must be said that the guy really hated deeply and firmly. In the past few hours, Feiyusian had killed 6 ghosts through fishing enforcement. This was the 7th one, but he didn't catch the ghost he wanted. I say, have you ever seen a ghost with hands all over his body? He knocked on the earth ghost's head and asked. The earth ghost looked unconvinced. It turned its head aside and said unruly. Kill me if you dare, you stupid human kid. I won't tell you even if I know. Oh. Hearing this, Feiyusian's eyes lit up, that means he knew. He took the thin blood and shook it in front of the earth ghost, tempting, tell me, I'll give it to you to drink. Do you think I'm a fool? As soon as the Earth Ghost finished speaking, Fei Yuzhen poured a bottle of blood into its mouth. Earth Ghost. Is he stupid, or am I stupid? Although it doesn't understand, it likes it very much. I have to say, you are a very nice person. How is it? Fei Yuzhen asked with a smile, is it fragrant? Do you still want to drink it? Let's think about it. Having tasted the sweetness, the Earth Ghost nodded obediently, and was already thinking about how to kill Fei Yuzhen. It felt a constant flow of power, and its confidence increased 100-fold. The sky cleared, the rain stopped, and it felt like it was fine again. Ah ha ha ha, stupid human, go to hell. In an instant, the Earth Escape Ghost's hands and feet grew back, and with a knife, it took Fei Yuzhen's head. He quickly retreated, his face unchanged, with an expression that everything was under control. Tisk. Are you good at hiding? Next you re-dead this time. I'm so strong now. Ha ha ha. The Earth Escape Ghost smiled grimly, staring coldly at Fei Yuzhen, and the other's expression made him very unhappy. Oh oh oh. Fei Yuzhen smiled perfunctorily, clapping his hands, so powerful. I'm so scared. As soon as these words came out, the Earth Escape Ghost's face turned green with anger, and it gritted its teeth and swore that it would definitely cut this human into pieces. I'll kill you. The Earth Escape was launched, and it planned to sneak attack Fei Yuzhen from behind. It was time to bury it in the ground the moment it emerged from the ground. Dozens of sharp knife lights flashed, completely exceeding the speed of its limb's recovery. The Earth Escape Ghost fell to the ground like a kite with a broken string, and blood gushed continuously. Can you talk now? I'll trade my rare blood for information with you. There are not many swordsmen as conscientious as me. So, Fei Yuzhen fed the two Dungui blood, and it grew limbs, then broke, grew again, and was broken again. In this way, after a friendly negotiation between a man and a ghost, the two Dungui cried and agreed to cooperate. Madman, you madman, stay away from me. It screamed hysterically, first cursing and then begging, give me a quick death. I want to die. Tell me, give you a quick death, don't be a ghost in the next life. Fei Yuzhen spread his hands, looking innocent. But I still like your rebellious look at the beginning. Come on, let's open our hearts and talk. Fei Yuzhen had a warm smile on his face, but in the eyes of the two Dungui, this was the most terrifying smile in the world. Devil! This human is a complete devil. You said that ghost, it is looking for someone wearing a fox mask. The Earth Escape Ghost stuttered a bunch of nonsense, and Fei Yuzhen was almost angry to death. He knew all this. What else? The smile on his face froze, and the Earth Escape Ghost felt that the blood in his body was frozen. This human is so scary. Someone come to save me. Brother, don't be angry, I still know where it usually hides. The Earth Escape Ghost is also a ghost who has stayed in Tengzi Mountain for a long time. It's a pity that his blood ghost technique is too weak and can only run underground for more than 10 meters. Hurry up and tell me. My patience is limited. I gave you my blood to drink, so I can't stop working. Yes, yes, yes. That ghost usually hides in. Chapter 28. Snake Breathing Type 3 Nesting. Before the Earth Escape Ghost finished speaking, a blade wind flashing with cold light swept past Fei Yuzhen's eyes, and Xiao Bani beheaded it. Fuck! You stinky snake, what are you doing? Fei Yuzhen stood up suddenly and exclaimed. After all, this guy appeared too suddenly, and there was no time to react. Xiao Bani shook off the blood on the sun wheel sword, turned his head and glared at Fei Yuzhen, and asked, good for nothing, why don't you kill this ghost? For him, all ghosts deserved to die, and he wished that all ghosts would die immediately, not to mention that he heard part of the conversation between Fei Yuzhen and the Earth Escape Ghost. He couldn't bear to make a deal with a ghost. Fei Yuzhen helplessly held his forehead, the situation was complicated, and he didn't know how to explain it to this guy. I have my own plan. At least wait until I finish asking before you do it. Humph! Demons should die. Xiao Bani snorted coldly and walked towards the bushes without looking back. Of course, he was not angry with Fei Yuzhen. Soon, he dragged a half-grown wild boar in front of Fei Yuzhen and said in a flat tone, that little bit of dry food is not enough for you, a glutton. This pig hit the tree and died, and then I found it. You must be grateful. Fei Yuzhen. Do you want to listen to what you are saying? Do you think I am blind with such a big cut? Thank you then. If you didn't ask, then you didn't ask. Anyway, there is still a chance. To be honest, he was very touched in his heart. He didn't expect Xiao Banii to still think about his appetite. Oh, right. I found a stream, let's go there to deal with it. The smell of blood may attract ghosts. When he mentioned ghosts, his eyes became cold and murderous. He led the way in front, and Fei Yuzhen followed behind with the pig, muttering from time to time. You pervert, don't think about bringing the battlefield to the dining table, damn it. About a quarter of an hour later, the two arrived near the stream that Xiao Banii mentioned, and could see the orange bonfire from a distance. It seemed that someone had arrived earlier than them. As night fell, ordinary swordsmen would not approach the forest. After all, the light in the forest was poor and it was easy to be attacked by ghosts. There were only a few people in the forest at this time. Zhen. Xiao Banii. What a coincidence. Xiantu also noticed Fei Yuzhen and the others, and waved with a smile. Yi Yang was roasting a fire nearby, and he just glanced at the two. Would you like to eat a roasted whole pig? Fei Yuzhen threw the wild Peppa pig and asked with a smile. Since he couldn't find the hand ghost, he could only follow the hand ghost's hunting target. With the strength of Xiantu, chopping off the hand ghost is as easy as chopping melons and vegetables. According to the development of the plot, he met the hand ghost after killing all the ghosts in the whole mountain. He was in a very bad state and his knife was bent. It would be strange if he didn't die. But this time is different. He is not the only one hunting the evil ghosts all over the mountain. After all, the revenge of the Shuoxi lineage should be avenged by the Shuohu lineage. I'll help you deal with it. Yes. Fei Yuzhen and Xiantu carried the pig to the waterside. Only the paralyzed boy Yi Yang and the bandaged boy Xiao Banii were left by the campfire. Xiao Banii did not hide the contempt and disgust on his face. He hated the miserable look of Tomioka Yi Yang, who said, I'm so miserable, please come and pity me. If it weren't for the sake of Fantung and Xiantu, he really wanted to beat Yi Yang. Do you want to drink water? Yi Yang remembered what his senior sister told him to help others with a smile. Unfortunately, Jiyu's smile was completely fake, as if he owed me money. Xiao Banii crossed her arms, turned her head to one side, and said in a very resistant tone. I don't need it, stay away from me, hum. Jiyu tilted his head and stared at the water bag blankly. Senior sister was wrong. This person doesn't like to see others laugh. After a while, the pig was roasted on the fire. 4 people sat around the fire. It was all thanks to Fei Yuzhen and Xiantu to liven up the atmosphere. It was another day of missing my big brother. If we talk about the joy maker, it must be Kyojuro. When you think of Big Brother will come. Ha ha ha. It's you guys, I said, who dares to light a fire next to the woods at night. Kyojuro rushed out of the woods, but he also brought gifts, a total of 10 ghosts. Little guy, there's nowhere to run, right? I'm going to break one of his arms, he he he. Eat him. The eyes of the 4 people who were roasting pigs around the fire lit up instantly. After all, there were dark ghosts behind the eldest brother, and they were their hunting targets. So this human kid has helpers. Brothers, don't be afraid, there are only 5 of them, and we have the advantage. 10 ghosts surrounded the 5 people in a semicircle, but Fei Yuzhen was still sprinkling seasonings, and there was no response at all. The time to deal with these 10 ghosts. Snake breathing form 5 long winding snake. Water breathing form 1 water surface slash. Water breathing form 3 dancing flowing. Flame breathing form 5 flame tiger. Instantly, the flashes of swords and sabers appeared, and the 4 young men roared towards the encirclement of evil ghosts like a flood of beasts. There was no fear on their faces, only excitement and murderous intent, and of course there was a paralyzed boy. On one side was the evil ghost's miserable howl, and on the other side was Fei Yuzhen humming a little tune. It was not that he didn't want to take action, but that he didn't have the opportunity to take action. After a while, the remains of the evil ghosts turned into ashes. Xiantu stretched and sighed. What a pity, one of them ran away. Wow! There is a roasted pig. I want to eat a whole elbow. Kyojuro sheathed his knife, with stars in his eyes and drooling as he rushed towards Ritohama. 2 days later, in the daytime, in a cave deep in the woods. 5 ghosts surrounded a one-horned ghost. The scene seemed like a serious student asking a teacher for advice. The one-horned ghost said earnestly, Everyone, there are 5 human swordsmen this time. Don't provoke them, otherwise you will definitely die. Those guys are crazy. They are a yellow-haired man, a man with a scar on his face, a man with a snake hanging around his neck, a man who looks like he deserves a beating, and a smiling pervert with dark red hair. While speaking, the one-horned ghost remembered the terrifying scene by the stream 2 days ago. 10 ghosts besieged 5 humans, but were slaughtered unilaterally by 4 people without any suspense. At this moment, a ghost screamed outside the cave, and the sound was suffocating. Kill me. Please, kill me quickly. I don't want to take poison anymore. Kill me. Kill me quickly. In the end, the ghosts turned from begging to desperate roars. The current situation of Tengzishan is that the black people chase the ghosts and cut them, and the daytime people look for the hiding ghosts everywhere. Whether it is day or night, the evil ghosts can't live in peace. In just 2 days, more than 70% of the ghosts in Tengzishan died, and the remaining less than 30% of the ghosts dared not go out to hunt in the dark. For the evil ghosts, the final selection of this session is a nightmare that cannot be awakened. The only thing they can do is to pray that the group of perverted humans will leave quickly. Chapter 29. Outside the cave where the evil ghost was hiding, Fei Yuzhen was writing something in a small notebook. His Nichiren sword nailed a ghost to the cliff. The skin of the ghost was dark purple, and its body was covered with protruding blood vessels, like a twisted earthworm, and fear occupied its eyes. The evil ghost kept spitting out white foam, and blood flowed from all 7 orifices, dyeing its face and body red, making it look even more hideous and terrifying. Kill me, please, please. The evil ghost squeezed out a sentence from his mouth with difficulty. It wanted to die to the extreme. After all, the purple wisteria poison was too tormenting for the ghost. Fei Yuzhen raised his eyes and glanced at it, and continued to record the data. The task assigned by Shinobu must be completed well. Volunteer Ghost 001. Number of people eaten, 3. Duration of purple wisteria poison attack, 5 minutes. Dosage, 1/5 of a bottle. Poisoning method, oral. Mr. Ghost is very enthusiastic. Under my friendly persuasion, he wants to atone his sins, but I don't recommend this method. Evaluation: the first generation of wisteria flower poison is not toxic enough, the onset time is slow, and the dosage needs to be concentrated and improved. Come on, Shinobu. Putting away the small notebook, Fei Yuzhen drew out the Nichiren sword, raised his lips and smiled, and said, "Since you are so cooperative, I will give you a quick death. Don't be a ghost in the next life." The knife flashed, and the evil ghost turned into ashes. He looked up at the cave in front of him, and there seemed to be several disgusting smells inside. Another test subject, great. Thank you for your contribution to the cause of killing ghosts. Fei Yuzhen smiled and walked into the cave. At this moment, the one-horned ghost happened to talk about Fei Yuzhen. This was the information summarized by the evil ghosts in the past few days. There was no way. For the ghosts of Fujixe Mountain, Fei Yuzhen and the other 5 were like 5 big bad wolves entering a flock of sheep, which unexpectedly made the remaining ghosts very united. I tell you, among the 5 human cubs, the red-haired one is the most terrifying. He is a demon. He always has a smile on his face, and he takes action while he smiles. Is that a smile? A sentence suddenly broke into the conversation between the ghosts, and they didn't even react. The one-horned ghost nodded and replied, "That's it, the smile of a demon." The next second, the red gold lightning lit up the entire cave, instantly dispelling the darkness. The one-horned ghost was beheaded by a flash of thunder, and its head rolled to the side. Its originally hideous face was now full of confusion and shock. Fei Yuzhen turned and looked at the remaining 5 ghosts, like a predator selecting prey. He is just one person, who cares if he is a smiling demon? Kill him! Kill him! This man is too arrogant. The 5 ghosts had never experienced despair, and tried to crush Fei Yuzhen with the advantage of ghost numbers. The sun set, and the afterglow of the sunset gradually disappeared below the horizon, and darkness enveloped the entire earth. At this time, the last ray of sunlight barely passed through the clouds and projected onto the quiet cave entrance. Under the faint light, Fei Yuzhen slowly walked out of the cave. He was covered in blood, and it was obvious that he had a friendly exchange with the evil ghosts. He walked out of the cave, took a deep breath, and felt the smell of fresh air, and felt refreshed. It's finally over. Fei Yuzhen looked at the last sun, stretched his waist, and murmured, the purple wisteria flower poison has been used up, and the poison test is over. I'm waiting to go home and let Shinobu praise me, he he he. As the last ray of sunlight disappeared, Fujixe Mountain returned to darkness again. The third day of the final selection ended, and now there was only one ghost who dared to hunt swordsmen outside, and that was the hand ghost. Unfortunately, Brother Murata met him. Ah! What is this? Didn't they say that the final selected ghosts only ate 2 or 3 people? This guy must have eaten dozens of people, right? Murata ran all the way, too scared to look back. He had been safe these days. He heard that the guys were hunting ghosts, so he thought he could be better. Who would have thought that he would meet this guy? In the blink of an eye, 6 arms as thick as basins blocked Murata's retreat. In desperation, he could only fight hard. Water-breathing 4th type strike tide. The blade wind like a tide slashed on the 6 dark green arms. In an instant, blood gushed out, but in just one breath, the arms recovered intact. Then, the hand ghost slapped Murata away with a slap. It didn't kill the human in front of it just to inquire about the news of Urokodakase Kanji's disciples. It held Murata and began to put pressure on him. Murata screamed in pain, and his bones were about to break. Little ghost, have you ever seen someone wearing a fox mask? While asking, the hand ghost opened his 2 bowl-sized arms. A line was worn between his legs, and 11 worn and blood-stained fox masks were hung on the line. Murata recognized it almost at a glance, because these disaster-removing fox masks were so distinctive. The person who saved him a day ago was wearing exactly the same one. Is this monster looking for Santu and Yi Yang? No, I must not let it find them. I can't betray them. They are geniuses who can bring glory to the Shoahu lineage. Murata made up his mind in an instant. He endured the severe pain and shouted, I don't know what you are talking about. I haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, die. The cold voice of the hand ghost sounded, and it increased its strength, and even the sound of broken bones could be heard. Ah! At the critical moment, a blue slash fell from the sky, grabbing Murata's arm and breaking it. In a trance, he saw the boy with flesh-colored short hair. Murata fell from mid-air, and Yi Yang caught him. As the fox mask came into view, the hand ghost's eyes widened instantly, and anger erupted like a volcano, burning its reason. Its body began to tremble uncontrollably, and its mountain-like body seemed to be swept by the wind and kept shaking. Its teeth clenched tightly, rubbing against each other, making a crisp snapping sound, as if it wanted to bite the rabbit to pieces. Every bite of the teeth was accompanied by a strong anger, making the air around heavy and depressing. At this moment, it only had endless resentment and murderous intent in its heart, wanting to tear the disciple of Urokyutaki in front of it into pieces. Urokyutaki, Urokyutaki, you are going to lose your disciple again. Ha 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 ha. The hand ghost kept shouting Master Urokyutaki, which was very sick. The rabbit stopped, and he stared at the strange-looking ghost in front of him in disbelief. It's calling Urokyutaki, right? Does it know the master? Hey! Do you know Urokodakase Kanji? Yes, of course I know him. Are you his disciple? I ate 11 little ghosts wearing fox masks. The hand ghost showed his trophy, a string of fox masks, 11 in total. The moment he saw the masks, Santu understood everything. Those brothers and sisters who didn't come back were eaten by it. This guy is an evil ghost, and even more of an enemy. When enemies meet, they are particularly jealous. Chapter 30. Suantu gnashed his teeth in anger. He looked at the hand ghost with anger and sadness, as if the whole world was collapsing before his eyes. Each of the 11 masks represented a life that had passed away, and they were all relics of his senior brothers and sisters. The hand ghost's boastful face made him feel sick, and he roared like thunder, I will kill you, I will make you never reincarnate. Asshole! Xiantu tightly grasped the sun wheel sword in his hand, his nails deeply sunk into the palm, blood flowed from between his fingers, but he did not feel any pain. He finally understood why the master tried his best to retain him. He was afraid of losing his apprentice again, and he did not want to cause his apprentice to lose his life because of his own fault. Every time a master lost a disciple, his heart was broken, but the final selection was so cruel. Xiantu was like a mad beast, roaring and rushing towards the hand ghost. In an instant, the overwhelming dark green arms attacked and covered the sky. Water-breathing pickup form life flow. He spun and tumbled like a dragon, and each rotation drove the surrounding airflow to form a wave like blade wind, which swept the ugly arm into it and crushed it. The sun wheel sword turned into a cold light, with a sharp momentum, like a surging wave, slapping towards the hand ghost. In an instant, the broken arms and limbs poured down with the blood rain, but the hand ghost's recovery ability far exceeded the imagination of the rabbit. Its arm can always be restored as soon as it is cut off. This guy is different from other ghosts. It has eaten too many people. If it weren't for its own problems, it would have obtained the blood ghost technique long ago. While fighting, the hand ghost boasted about the process of killing the disciples of Urokadaki, taking the opportunity to disturb the heart of the rabbit. I remember the last little ghost was a guy who liked to laugh, so I tore her mouth first. Her screams were much better than her laughter, hee hee. Shut up, asshole. Zyanto was even more angry, which caused his breathing rhythm to be much more chaotic. The hand ghost took advantage of the opportunity and punched him in the head. Water-breathing 8th type Takitsubo. A plain voice sounded, and Yi Yang blocked the attack. His eyes were red. He was also angry about the experience of his senior brothers and sisters, but he did not lose his mind. Zyanto and Yi Yang are close friends. One is full of justice, hates evil but is more reckless, the other is taciturn but calm. Just like the sea, there are storms and warm sunny days. Zyanto, calm down, it is irritating you. Yi Yang said one of the few long sentences. In his heart, Zyanto's life is far more important than his own. But geniuses have their own pride. Furious, Zyanto didn't listen at all and rushed forward again. His reduced rationality caused a flaw in his body movements, but because of Yi Yang, the flaw could be completely ignored. This is the strength of Yi Yang. He can always analyze the situation calmly and cooperate with his teammates to attack. The two of them advanced all the way, getting closer and closer to the body of the hand ghost. Revenge was just around the corner. Zyanto became more radical and he distanced himself from Yi Yang. Finally, the two who cooperated very well had a blank period. At the same time, two more arms suddenly appeared on the battlefield. The hand ghost had hidden a hand, and it was waiting for now. Yi Yang quickly cut off one of them. Just as he was about to protect Zyanto, he heard a metal breaking sound, and his sun wheel sword broke. In a hurry, he blocked the attack of the hand ghost with his body. Looking at his best friend flying backwards, Zyanto's mind was blank. At this moment, Fei Yuzhen, with a smile on his face, intervened on the battlefield. He caught Yi Yang and quickly cut open his palm to squeeze the blood into his mouth. Yi Yang, who was almost unconscious, tasted the fishy and salty taste. Through his blurred vision, he saw Zyanto fighting in the distance and Fei Yuzhen feeding him blood. Fei Yuzhen quickly moved away from the battlefield with Yi Yang in his arms, and his voice full of trust sounded. Zyanto, Yi Yang is fine, my blood can heal the wound. Let's settle the new sorrows and old grudges together. As soon as he finished speaking, Zyanto's eyes became extremely firm and shining. He cut off the arm that the hand ghost attacked with a knife and said, "Leave it to me next." "Thank you." At this moment, Zyanto's state of mind has been greatly improved and grown, and this change is crucial for a swordsman who pursues kendo. He adjusted his breathing while dodging the attack of the hand ghost. Finally, the powerful him is back again. This time, even without the help of his best friend, he can still stand alone. Fei Yuzhen carried Yi Yang aside. When he saved Yi Yang, a thought flashed through his mind, that is, to cut off the hand ghost. But he changed his mind and gave up. After all, it was useless. At least for the suggestion of Zyanto and Yi Yang Sheng has no help. Jiyu's heart knot stems from his dead sister and dead best friend. Now that Zyanto is alive, he won't have a heart knot. Finally, he will talk a few more times to help Jiyu get out of the psychological shadow of guilt for his sister's death. As for Zyanto, it seems that he has grown up. This time, the most perfect water-breathing duo will walk out of Fujiki Mountain. Fei Yuzhen folded his hands in front of his chest, leaned against the big tree and quietly watched Zyanto go for revenge, in a good mood. What he has to do is to help the future pillars of the Demon Slayer Corps grow as much as possible. After all, it is not enough for him alone to kill Muzan. To carry out a just group fight against Muzan. Suddenly, a piercing scream broke through the night sky. The sound was like a sharp claw scratching on a blackboard frantically, which made people feel painful. The one who made the sound was the hand ghost. He could live so long, so he naturally had a backup plan. He could not use it, but he could not do without it. The most unwilling one was the hand ghost, it really hoped that it would never have to use this backup plan in this life. Unexpectedly, it was disturbed by the red-haired little ghost today, and it hated Fei Yuzhen to death. After the roar ended, 10 pairs of scarlet eyes lit up in the forest, and then 10 evil ghosts rushed out from all sides of the forest and swarmed towards Suantu. Having ruled Tengzi Mountain for decades, the hand ghost naturally subdued some of his younger brothers. Those who were hunted by Fei Yuzhen and his 5 men were all ghosts who did not submit to the hand ghost. It must be said that if he had not been trapped in Tengzi Mountain, the boss would have automatically cleaned up the door. After all, he was selfish and would not allow his subordinates to form a small gang. Tengzi Mountain trapped the hand ghost and saved its life. The 10 ghosts that rushed out stopped Suantu, and the hand ghost ran madly towards the woods behind him. Damn it! Stop right there, you bastard! Fei Yuzhen, who was watching from a distance, shook his head helplessly. This hand ghost had a lot of tricks, but he couldn't let this guy run away. It must die today, and it must die at the hands of Mr. Urokotaka's disciples. I just want to take revenge. Why are you making trouble? You're always looking for trouble for me, alas. He took a step forward, holding the hilt of the knife with his right hand, his eyebrows curved, his tone lazy, and his eyes flashing with ferocity. The triumphant hand ghost didn't even forget to look back. He decided to hide well for the next few days, and one day he would be able to tear Urokotaka's disciples to pieces. Unfortunately, it and Fei Yuzhen's golden eyes met, and the other glared at it, smiling like a nightmare. The Breath of Tao Thunder Type Kylan. Chapter 31. In an instant, the red gold arcs quickly coiled around Fei Yuzhen's body like a nimble little snake, and these arcs flashed with dazzling light, as if they were going to swallow him up. At the same time, cracks began to appear on the ground under Fei Yuzhen's feet, and the cracks spread like a spider web. Then, layer after layer of invisible ripples spread from under his feet, forming a huge energy fluctuation circle. He was like a red gold meteor, drawing a straight line on the ground. The knife moved like a dance, thunder rolled, and everything was silent. Under the dark night, the red gold blade wind condensed into a thunder unicorn, and the unicorn bit down, and 10 evil ghosts were beheaded one after another. In the entire Tengzi Mountain, except for the hand ghost who might need to be cut twice more, the other ghosts were not Fei Yuzhen's opponents at all. His feather cloth was burned to ashes by the high-intensity heat, and the sparks that had not yet extinguished were like stars. The corners of the mouth of the rabbit opened wide. How could this guy be so strong, beyond imagination? Immediately, he actually grinned and laughed loudly, saying, "Zhen, I like you in the Demon Slayer Corps." Fei Yuzhen looked back and smiled. In the confused expression of the rabbit, he grabbed his arms and swung them in a circle, and threw the rabbit out. "Rabbit thief, it's you, kill it. You don't need to say more, ha ha ha." The rabbit gripped the handle of the knife, took a deep breath, and faced the sturdy arms of the Pegasus meteor. He was more eager to fight. In an instant, the knife light turned into a heavy cold rain, falling all over the sky. Water-breathing land-type twisting vortex. The grand water tornado was like a full-power blender, and the hands of the ghost were scattered all over the ground. The rabbit stepped on the broken arm with one foot, and he jumped higher. "No, no, no! Go to hell, go to hell, go to hell! Damn Urokutaki, damn fox mask, I can't die!" The hand ghost roared unwillingly, and it attacked Santa while fleeing madly, but it was all in vain. Santa landed, like an unstoppable mountain torrent, fearlessly moving forward in the bloody rain. Under the light of the full moon, 11 boys and girls wielding Nichiren swords appeared behind Santu, and they were the same age as him. 11 swords were stacked one on top of another until the 11 swords merged with Santa's sword. Water-breathing pick-up form life flow. It was Santa's own share, and the life flow twisted to the 12th level. With the will of his senior brothers and sisters, he cut off the hand ghost's neck, and the bloated body the size of a small mountain collapsed. Santa got revenge. He quickly jumped up, snatched the relics of his senior brothers and sisters, and held them in his arms like treasures. At this moment, his heart was relieved, and the curse belonging to the Urokadaki lineage was broken. "Urokadaki, I hate you! Urokadaki, I hate you! Urokadaki!" In the endless resentment of the hand ghost, it turned into ashes and disappeared with the wind. After the battle, Santa ran to Yiyang, and found that the guy was just asleep, so he was relieved. He carefully wrapped the 11 broken and bloody masks with his feather webbing, and it was time to take them home. After everything was done, Santa bowed heavily to Fei Yuzhen, because Zhen helped him a lot. Zhen, tell me if there is anything, I will definitely do anything for Fei Yuchen. Santa was straightforward and almost went through fire and water for Fei Yuchen. No, 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 we are all brothers, it's my duty. Fei Yuzhen couldn't stand this awkward behavior and waved his hands frantically. Hearing this, Suunta smiled indifferently and responded sincerely, I am very happy to have a friend like you. Welcome to visit Sagoyama in the future. He stretched out his hand, and Fei Yuzhen shook it without hesitation. Friendship between men is so simple. Oh, by the way. Letting go of Fei Yuzhen's hand, Suunta took off the disaster-eliminating mask and hung it on the side of Fei Yuzhen's head, saying, Zhen, this is the disaster-eliminating mask that my master carved for me by hand. I give it to you, he he he. Fei Yuzhen's mouth twitched. Now it is indeed a disaster-eliminating fox mask. It was completely a disaster-inducing one before. Because there were 2 wounded people, Fei Yuzhen and the others lit a bonfire and ate hard dry food. Ah! I want to eat meat. The dry food is not enough to fill you up. Fei Yuzhen screamed in pain. He was eating Murata's food. He had already eaten all his own food. Zhen, didn't you just eat half a pig the day before yesterday? Suunta handed the dry food in the bag to Fei Yuzhen and asked puzzledly. Why do you think Xiaobania calls me a glutton every day? Looking at the dry food handed by Suunta, his eyes lit up. Suunta tilted his head in confusion. Isn't glutton an insult? Why is Zhen so proud? Brother Master, if it's not enough, I have more here. Yes. Murata's eyes flashed with the brilliance of a little fanboy, and he handed over his bag, which contained wild fruits he had picked. You two are really good people, so touching, woohoo. For the hungry Fei Yuchen, having food means being a good person. After dinner, Fei Yuchen took the initiative to apply for night watch, and the other 2 tired guys fell asleep quickly. In the middle of the night, Fei Yuchen suddenly had to pee and hurriedly ran into the bushes. Ah! So cool! The ease and comfort of peeing can only be understood by those who have to pee. However, when he was halfway through peeing, 2 faint words rang in his ears. Thank you. Fei Yuchen turned his head mechanically, with horror on his face. Yiyang, I'm peeing. Sorry, I thought you were looking at the scenery. Yiyang said with a cold face and a calm tone. Fei Yuchen stared blankly at the dark forest in front of him. He had never been so speechless in his life. Who the hell is standing in the bushes admiring the darkness in the middle of the night? Yiyang's brain circuit. Alas! I said, why don't you leave? I'm still peeing. Oh! I want to thank you for your blood, although it tastes weird. Are you sick? Yiyang walked towards the campfire slowly, leaving Fei Yuchen alone in the wind. I'm so weird, sick. What the hell is going on? Don't be angry, Yiyang is a good boy. Calm down, Fei Yuchen came to sit next to Yiyang. Thank you. Yiyang thanked him for the 3rd time. Seeing that Fei Yuchen had not agreed, he felt that he was not sincere enough. Fei Yuchen waved his hand and said, I know. Let's chat. Yet. Yiyang nodded. Fei Yuchen was quietly promoted to a super good person in his heart. In his opinion, those who took the initiative to talk to him were good people, not to mention that they saved him. I know that standing up for a friend is a true man's performance, but you can't forget to cherish your life. I don't care. Suunta is better than me. He will be more successful if he is alive. Besides, a person like me, Jiyu stopped talking halfway, and he did not continue to say a person like me should just die. Because Santa slapped him for this discouraging remark, and threatened to break off all ties with him if he said that again. Do you want to hear my story? I didn't even have parents since I was born. Before Fei Yuchen could continue, Jiyu's indifferent voice sounded. My condolences. He felt that he would be pissed off before he could enlighten Jiyu. Chapter 32. Fei Yuchen held Yiyang's shoulders, looked him in the eye, and said very seriously. Listen to me, okay? Yet. Yiyang nodded repeatedly. It was the first time someone wanted to talk to him so eagerly. Fei Yuchen was automatically classified as a good friend. He found that the other person had a mask of the evil repelling mask of the rabbit hanging on his head, so he naturally hung his own mask on the other side. This sudden action startled Fei Yuchen. Yiyang recognized me? I haven't started yet, okay? He sighed imperceptibly and was in no mood to tell a story, so he asked directly. Did your sister save your life hoping that you would die? If you don't care about your own life, what's the point of your sister's efforts? If Mr. Urokadaki, Makomo, and Sato knew that you have always had such thoughts in your heart, wouldn't they be sad? After 3 consecutive questions, Yi Yang was stunned. He stared at Fei Yu-chen with an incredible look on his face. He didn't understand why he knew him so well. In addition to being shocked, Yi Yang lowered his head in shame, and he couldn't help asking himself. Sister, am I wrong to do this? Fei Yu-chen patted Yi Yang on the shoulder and said earnestly, Yi Yang, people who indulge in the past cannot grasp the future. Your future is not only your future, but also your sister's and the people around you. Think about it carefully. If you die, they will be sad. As he said, Fei Yu-chen pointed at Santu and said with a little threat. If you die, Santu may not hold the knife. After all, he is a man who values friendship and loyalty. It is inevitable that he will be hit hard by the death of his best friend. You also said that Santu is very powerful. You don't want him to be decadent because of you, right? Yi Yang stared at Fei Yu-chen blankly. He felt that what the other party said made a lot of sense. If that were the case, it would be too bad. Also, did I save your life? Yet. Yi Yang nodded like a chick pecking at rice, thank you. So if you don't cherish your life, it will bother me. Alas. Fei Yu-chen lowered his eyebrows and eyes, looking heartbroken. I will work hard to hone myself, and try not to die. Yi Yang said sincerely, his eyes were like torches, and he looked like he had established the direction of his life. Very good. Fei Yu-chen nodded with relief, he coughed a few times, and said, so can you lend me your dry food to eat? You're good buddy, I'm starving. Please use it. Yi Yang handed over the package without hesitation, as obedient as a little lamb, and behind Fei Yu-chen, a treacherous big bad wolf appeared. All that should be said has been said, and as for how much Yi Yang listened to, Fei Yu-chen was about to eat. Dry food. Dry food. Long live dry food. Jiyu held the Nichiren sword and murmured. I will work hard to become stronger and will never let my friends and master down. I will seize the future and take my sister's share with me. The next morning, Santu always felt that something was different about Jiyu, but couldn't tell what was wrong. In short, it looked like a good change. After killing the hand ghost, everyone completely let themselves go on Fujiki Mountain and began to look for ghosts all over the mountain. Of the 100 ghosts, none survived except those who hid in places that people could not reach. Soon, time came to the night of the 7th day, and the final selection was about to end. A group of teenagers sat around the campfire and began to show off their achievements. This time I killed a total of 15 ghosts. How about it, awesome, ha ha ha. Kyojuro held his head high and chest out, like a lion. I also killed 15, but there is one strongest hand ghost. Santu patted Xing Shao's shoulder with an expression that said, brother, you still need to practice. Wow, awesome. The elder brother gave a thumbs up and proposed a competition, which Santu gladly accepted. After a while, the water and fire collided violently. Fei Yu-chen hurriedly used his body to protect the grilled fish beside the campfire. He rolled his eyes at the two and complained. I said, go fight somewhere else, don't damage my fish. Hey! How many ghosts did you kill? Xiaobanai stared at Fei Yu-chen and asked. He killed 20 of them and wanted to dig 3 feet in the ground to find ghosts. Fei Yu-chen scratched his head. He didn't really want to compete with these guys, but when he helped Santa deal with the hand ghosts, he accidentally killed 10 of them. He scratched his head and laughed, about 30, ha ha ha. I'll eat the fish, you can help yourself. Wait a minute, eat more, let's practice. The corners of Xiaobanai's mouth twitched slightly, and he dragged the yelling Fei Yuzhen to the side. Wait. I haven't eaten yet, you masochist. Let me go. Mom said, fighting is not a good thing. You are an orphan, without a mother. Xiaobanai ruthlessly finished the knife, and Fei Yuzhen almost spit out a mouthful of blood. Listen, is this human language? Jealous, you are just jealous of my strength. Under the starry sky, the 4 teenagers were noisy, only Murata and Yi Yang sat quietly by the campfire. Murata was like a bronze player who strayed into the king's game, and he was in a big head. He muttered in his heart. Are these guys still human? Are all ghosts so bad? Seeing that Yi Yang had been silent, he leaned over and asked, Yi Yang, How many ghosts have you killed? I forgot, maybe more than a dozen. Hearing this, Murata was stunned. No, are you all here to participate in the selection, or to purchase goods? So there are so many ghosts on the mountain? Murata was shocked. He was like a frost-bitten eggplant. He quietly moved his butt away and was sad alone. Yang glanced at the few people flashing in the distance, and then looked at Murata and asked. Shall we compete? Murata looked at Yang in disbelief. You and me? Are you sure you are not kidding? Why? Because it is more sociable. Murata shook his head frantically, refusing at the speed of light, because he would die if he sparred with these guys. Suddenly, a blade wind came, and the bonfire was overturned, turning into starlight. Murata was so scared that his heart almost stopped beating, and he was numb. I shouldn't have been so shameless to be with these guys. Mom, save me. I want to run away. Soon, Murata shook his head, he didn't want to be looked down upon. On the other hand, Yang ate the grilled fish leisurely, and even saved a few grilled fish. He remembered that Feiyu said he was not full. Tired of fighting, several people lay on the lawn and fell asleep. Yang took the grilled fish and looked at the starry sky quietly. Murata silently kept watch for this group of abnormal guys. As the sky turned pale, the first ray of dawn in the morning penetrated the clouds and fell on the quiet Fujiki mountain. The final selection was over. Chapter 33. The young swordsman stepped on the morning dew and rushed out of the Torii gate in high spirits. Some of them were covered with dirt, and the most serious damage was that their clothes were torn. This group of young people, led by Tomishin and the other 5, stood in front of Rengoku Makijiro in a 2 shape. Looking at this group of young people, Makijiro was confused. Did these guys go on a picnic? He counted again and again, and then rubbed his eyes in disbelief to make sure he was not mistaken. As a pillar, he knew the cruelty of the final selection best. It would be good if 10 out of the 25 survived. But the fact is so dreamy, 25 people go in, and 25 people come out. The survival rate is 100%, which is unique in the history of the Demon Slayer Corps for hundreds of years. Uncle. Tomishin saw Makijiro looking at everyone without saying anything, and reminded him softly. Makijiro came back to his senses, laughed loudly, and then returned to his passionate uncle's appearance, saying cheerfully. Congratulations to all of you for passing the final selection. Everyone should work hard in the future. Every boy and girl had a bright smile on their faces, full of vigor and vitality, just like the wisteria flowers that never fade around them. They made history and achieved a unique 100% survival rate, all thanks to those who stood in the front. Each of them was helped by the 5 people of Tuyoshin, and Murata has the most say on this. In the future, when I brag, I can say that I killed with the 5 pillars. For young swordsmen, the 5 people of Tuyoshin are undoubtedly dazzling new stars. They gave everyone a hope, that is, the possibility of killing all the evil demons in the world. As the most experienced person in the Demon Slayer Corps, Makijiro was very pleased because he saw the future of the Demon Slayer Corps in these young people. The future is in the hands of these young people, and the decline of the Demon Slayer Corps will be gone forever. He snapped his fingers, and the next moment, 25 crows flew towards the boys. Under the morning light, the true color of the crow's feathers was revealed. It was not a fixed black color, but a rainbow-like colorful color. In fact, every time the Demon Slayer Corps prepares crows for the final selection, they are all for everyone, but the rules do not allow every crow to get a master. This time, the preparation was not in vain. The crows choose their masters based on their eyesight. They hovered over the crowd, but none of them fell. Suddenly, the largest crow rushed out of the crow group first, and it naturally landed on Fei Yuzhen's shoulder, and spit out a few words in a high and cold voice. Give me a name. Fei Yuzhen looked at the crow that chose him, and why did he have the illusion that a domineering president fell in love with me? Forget it, as for the name, he said with a smile. Let's call you the Holy Blade. How about it? Yes. The crow nodded, still aloof and domineering. After a while, all the crows chose their own masters. If nothing unexpected happens, they will accompany their masters until they die in battle. Next, the swordsmen need to choose their own Gorilla Scarlet Iron Sand and Gorilla Scarlet Ore. These 2 ores are mined in the place closest to the sun, and the sun wheel sword forged from them is the only weapon that can cause damage to demons. Makijiro pointed to the platform on the side and said to everyone, young men, choose your own ore, and then fight for your future. The future of the Demon Slayer Corps is entrusted to you. The ores are almost the same, so Fei Chen just picked a group at random. Then, the members of Yin came out of the wisteria forest nearby. They had been waiting for a long time. They would be responsible for measuring the swordsman's measurements and then bring the sizes back to the headquarters for the tailors to make uniforms. They also brought the ore selected by the swordsman to the swordsmith village. Yin's members were responsible for the logistics of the Demon Slayer Corps. Without them, the Demon Slayer Corps would be like a table without a leg. Everyone who joined the Demon Slayer Corps had a common goal, which was to create a world without demons. "Brother, what's your name?" Toma asked in daily conversation. Even if he couldn't see the other person's face clearly, he could still remember the name. The Yin member who was measuring Toma was stunned for a moment, and then a young man's voice sounded. "My name is Sato Yunyi." Fei Chen stretched out his hand and said with a smile, "Tiandao Fei Chen, please take care of me in the future. Thank you for your hard work." Yunyi looked at Fei Chen in disbelief. After all, few people would say thank you to the members of Yin. Yin has always been responsible for logistics, so he is not as concerned as the swordsmen who are on the front line. Most of the swordsmen also take Yin's efforts for granted. "Please take care of me, Mr. Tiandao." Yunyi tightly holding Fei Yuzhen's hand, he remembered the other's appearance and respect. After all the preparations were completed, Yin's team members left Fujishi Mountain one after another. They had to send the things back to the headquarters as quickly as possible. The selected team members returned to their own homes and found their own mothers, waiting for the Sun Wheel Sword and team uniforms to arrive, and then began to carry out the demon-slaying mission. Rengoku Makai Juro's crow left Fujishi Mountain in a hurry. It had to bring this good news back to the headquarters as soon as possible. Headquarters, Yubayashiki Residence. Yubayashiki Yoya and Xingming were discussing something, and Taro fell on Yoya's shoulder noisily. His voice sounded like Makai Juro's, and his blood was boiling. "Lord, Lord! Great news! Taro, don't be anxious, take your time." Yoya smiled and comforted. The survival rate of the final selection is 100%, and 25 people survived. Hearing this, the list in Yaya's hand fell quietly, and even the calm lord couldn't help but tremble in his heart. 100% survival rate. He took off the letter paper on Taro's leg, which was written by Rengoku Makijuro. "My lord, congratulations. I believe that in a few years, the decline of the Demon Slayer Corps will definitely be changed." Toma, Obanai, Santo, Tomiokajiu and Kyojuro beheaded a total of 95 evil spirits, and the demons in the entire Fujiki Mountain are almost extinct. All 5 of them have the qualifications to become pillars. Thinking of this, I am particularly happy. I hope the Lord takes care of himself. "My lord, what makes you so happy?" Xingming noticed the change in the Lord's breath and asked. "Jiamei, the future of the Demon Slayer Corps will be extremely bright, and you will be able to become a senior in no time." Yaya was excited and repeated the contents of the letter excitedly. After listening, Xingming clasped his hands together and couldn't stop crying. This was indeed great news. "Amini, help me get a pen and paper. I want to write a letter to thank Senior Urokadaki, Senior Kawashima and Senior Makijuro. They have trained very good swordsmen." Hearing this, Amina walked out of the room with a pen and paper, with a smile from the heart on her face. Since her husband took over the Demon Slayer Corps, she rarely saw him smile so happily. Yayu wrote quickly, and there was something in his mind that he had never dared to think of before. The dispute between humans and demons may be settled in this generation. Chapter 34. Sajiri Mountain. The moonlight passed through the thick fog and fell like a silver veil in front of the wooden house at the foot of the mountain. Urokadaka Seikanji stood in front of the door like a stone sculpture. Through the red Tengu mask, you can see his worried eyes. With a creak, the door of the wooden house opened, and Makomo walked to the master with a blanket. She handed the blanket to the master and comforted him softly. "Master, they will definitely come back." She looked at the white temples of the master and felt a little distressed. "You have been standing for a whole day, go back and rest." Urokadaka Seikanji raised his rough big hand, he rubbed Makomo's little head, and his tone was much gentler. "Silly girl, I'm fine, I just want to see the moon." "Wow!" The voice of Suunta sounded in disbelief, coming from the fog, with a bit of dissatisfaction. "Master, when can you be gentle when talking to me?" Hearing this, Mr. Urikatsuki was shocked, and Jengu also widened his eyes. The two smiled at the same time, because there were two figures in the fog. This means that Suuntu and Yiyang are all safe and sound, and they have successfully passed the final selection. It's good to come back, it's good to come back, it's good to come back. Mr. Urikatsu muttered many times in a trance until Suuntu and Yiyang walked out of the fog and stood in front of him. His heart was at ease. Santo raised his lips and laughed, saying, "Master, we are both very strong, your worries are unnecessary. By the way, we have made friends. They are all very strong, especially the one called Tendo Fiuchen, he is the apprentice of the former Mingzu, do you know him?" He talked incessantly, and Yiyang still didn't say much, just nodded frequently. After a few simple chats, Santo and Yiyang suddenly became serious. They stretched out their arms and spread out the bundles. "Master, not only the two of us are back, they are back too." Santo's tone was mixed with a hint of sadness, and Yiyang slowly lifted the layers of cloth wrapped around the 11 disaster-eliminating masks. When the blood-stained masks appeared in front of Urokodaka Seikanji, in that instant, he understood everything. He took the broken disaster-eliminating masks with trembling hands, and the voices and smiles of the disciples flashed through his mind. "It's good to be home." Urokuriki Seikanji's voice was trembling. This time, he was talking to his deceased disciples. Makoto understood immediately and hurriedly dragged the two idiots into the house. She knew that the master needed to be alone for a while. Urokuriki carefully wrapped the masks and went up the mountain with a knife. A moment later, he walked on the Sajiri mountain dragging a smoothly cut tombstone without words. The mist was thick and looked like white ink. Even so, it still couldn't cover the sadness of a teacher. Mr. Urokuriki found a feng shui treasure land and dug a pit. He picked up a mask and carefully engraved a name on it. Gradually, 11 masks with names were neatly placed in the pit. He took a handful of soil and filled the pit. Not long after, there was a mound of soil on Sajiri mountain, and Urokuriki erected a stone tablet. There are 11 names engraved on the stone tablet, and the last 4 characters are big. The Tomb of Beloved Disciples. Urokodaka Seikanji hugged the tombstone, and 2 lines of clear tears flowed from under the Tengu mask. The tears fell on the new soil, splashing small bubbles. In a trance, 11 young figures appeared at the other end of the tomb, and each of them had a smile on their face. "Master, goodbye. Master, we are leaving, take care. Master, it's good to be able to go home. Master, it's our own choice, there's no need to blame yourself. Master." With tears in his eyes, Urokodaka Seikanji saw a beam of light falling from the sky, and his 11 disciples ascended to heaven with smiles. At this moment, he was relieved. In the bushes not far away, the 3 little Shuahu watched everything silently, and also saw off their brothers and sisters. Above the sky, the stars are shining, but this sky does not only belong to Sajiri Mountain, it also belongs to Momoyama. Doshin in autumn is a fruitful season. The wild peach trees on the mountain are full of ripe fruits. Fresh, juicy, and fragrant wild peaches hang on the branches, making people salivate. Feiyuzhen walked on the familiar path and picked a peach casually. He rubbed it on his body and took a bite. The peaches burst with juice. Oh! If Shinobu was here, the peaches in Doshin would be super delicious. It's a pity that she can't eat them. Seeing the peaches reminded me of people, I could only turn my grief and anger into appetite and eat 10 kilograms. On the distant horizon, where the moonlight was shrouded, a short figure quietly emerged. It was old man Kwangdao. He heard the sound of beiji beiji in the peach forest in the middle of the night. He thought that the ripe peaches attracted wild boars, so he took a knife and went to come out to check. Until he saw the familiar figure, the old man looked like he was disappointed with his teacher. There was a pile of peach pits next to Feiyuzhen, and he was still eating bitterly. Alas! The old man sighed, and the joy of meeting each other disappeared instantly. "Zhen, don't you come into the house first when you go home. Stay with your peach tonight." Feiyuzhen heard the voice and looked up, and the old man was standing there. He ran over and hugged the old man, who pushed his apprentice away with a look of disgust and said, "Don't rub me, it's so dirty." "Hey!" Feiyuzhen looked at his master with a blank face. When did this old man care so much about his image? Something was wrong, 9 out of 10 points. "Old man, have you made any progress with Shizuko's mother-in-law? Get out!" The old man kicked Feiyuzhen, but the other party easily dodged it. "Hey!" The old man stretched out his voice. "This bastard has made a lot of progress. It seems that he is very hard-working. The sun really rises from the west. By the way, why didn't that little girl come? The old man walked towards the cabin without looking back and asked. Fei Yuzhen put his hands behind his head and followed leisurely behind him, replying. Old man, I am going to participate in the final selection, not to go on an outing. Why should I follow you? What do you think? Old man, let me tell you, your apprentice is killing a lot. Those ghosts are so weak. I killed them one by one. You didn't see your apprentice's heroic appearance, handsome and suave. Fei Yuzhen hadn't finished showing off yet, and old man Quangdao went up and gave him a chestnut. Come on, you're just bragging. Don't underestimate the enemy when holding a knife, be modest, or you'll lose your life. Fei Yuzhen rubbed the big bump on his head and nodded. Are you hungry? Old man Sangdao suddenly asked, why are you eating so many peaches? Isn't home right here? I'm starving. Fei Yuzhen nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. I'm not afraid of disturbing your rest, master, I'm just being filial. Change your clothes, like a beggar. Old man Sangdao pointed to the wooden house, and he went to the kitchen, we'll have dinner later. No matter how long Fei Yuzhen has been away, the old man is still the old man with a sharp tongue but a soft heart. Chapter 35. Doshan Town. Fei Yuzhen was strolling around the town leisurely. It took more than half a month to make the Nichiren sword and the team uniform, so he had a rare rest time. If he stayed in the mountains without practicing swordsmanship, he would definitely be scolded by the old man, so he came to the town to have some free time. As he was walking, a little boy suddenly ran over crying. When he saw Fei Yuzhen, the little boy was stunned at first, then immediately hugged Fei Yuzhen's thighs and cried with snot and tears. Wow wow wow! Boss, you are finally back. There is a guy from outside the town who stole our pocket money. You must help us get revenge. Stop, stop, stop. Fei Yuzhen pushed the child's head away with a look of disgust. You are too close, don't rub your snot on me. When the little boy calmed down, he patted his head and said. Shota, whoever stole your things, you should beat him. A real man should bleed but not cry. What's the point of crying, you are like a woman. Boss, we can't beat him. Shota sucked a big snot, looking helpless. I usually teach you Kung Fu. When you hit someone, you should hit the lower 3 roots first. Don't you know that the monkey steals peaches? Forget it, lead the way. I want to see which bastard dares to hit my people. Fei Yuzhen waved his hand with a look of disappointment. Hearing this, Shota's back became stiff. Fei Yuzhen has been the leader of the children in Doshan Town since he was a child. It is his duty to vent his anger for his younger brother. After all, adults treat the little things of little brats as minor fights and rarely care about them. After a while, the two came to an alley where few people passed by. The light inside was dim and a figure could be seen faintly. The man was sitting in a damp corner, like a rat in a sewer. He was counting money and cursing while counting. Damn, a bunch of little bastards, just this little money, not as much as I stole. I heard that there is an old man living in Doshan. When I become a disciple and join the Demon Slayer Corps, I will definitely have money. Momo-shan, old man, at this time, could it be that guy Xiao Yu? Listening to the boy cursing, Fei Yuzhen guessed. Hey! Why did you rob my brother's money? Give it back to me! Fei Yuzhen threatened the man in the shadow. He thought that guy was Xiao Yu. Get out of here! Don't let me beat you up again, are you sick? The man in the shadow said in a cold tone, like a knife. He collected the money he had robbed and walked out of the shadow slowly. Fei Yuzhen finally saw the guy's face clearly. He had black hair and blue eyes, thick eyebrows, and was wearing ragged coarse linen clothes. Tisk! It's really that bastard, Ziu. He did not hide the disgust on his face. His expression was like stepping on shit, and his good mood for the whole day was gone. Ziu was as cunning as Musen. One was a trait that betrayed his teacher and ancestors, and the other killed innocent people. This man and this ghost had a certain extremely unified trait, that is, selfishness. Ziu also looked at Fei Yuzhen with anger and disdain flashing in his eyes. He clenched his teeth tightly, making a creaking sound, as if he was going to bite his teeth to pieces. His fists were clenched, veins popping out, and he wanted to rush up and beat Fei Yuzhen up immediately. Have we met before? Why did he show that look of disgust and disgust? Bastard, you are looking for death. He muttered in his heart. Give the money back. Fei Yuzhen stretched out his hand, and was already thinking about how to ruin this guy's apprenticeship. He must not let this beast cause the old man to lose his integrity in his later years. Get out of the way, I don't want to hit anyone. Xiao Yu opened Fei Yuzhen's hand and rushed towards him. But the moment he bumped into Fei Yuzhen, the ferocity on his face solidified. It felt like hitting a wall. Is this guy still human? Haiwa Shinichi shrugged his shoulders and bounced off Gyu, smiling and saying, give the money back to Shota, I'll say it one last time. Get lost. Do you want to die? As soon as Gyu finished speaking, Haiwa Shin punched him in the lower abdomen, and the severe pain spread rapidly, and his mind went blank. Cough cough cough. Gyu kept coughing, he fell to the ground holding his stomach, but still stared at Haiwa Shin fiercely, asshole. The veins on his forehead bulged, and he roared at Haiwa Shin. He swore that when he learned the breathing method of the Demon Slayer Corps, he would definitely tie this bastard to a deserted place and kill him. Shota, take your money back. Okay, boss. Soon, Shota searched a lot of money from Gyu, he took the money that belonged to his friends and himself, and then threw the rest of the money back with a look of contempt. Thief, so annoying. Don't let me get old again, I will see you when I see you, otherwise I will beat you every time I see you. With Fei Yuzhen there, the little brat immediately said a harsh word, feeling very happy. Boss. Shota looked at Fei Yuzhen with a smile on his face, I will treat you to delicious food. By the way, what have you been doing recently? Fei Yuzhen knocked on Shota's head and said, didn't I tell you since childhood that I, your boss, am destined to save the world? Wow, awesome, you are worthy of being the boss. Shota's eyes lit up and he instantly turned into a little fanboy. Boss is mighty, boss is domineering. Xiao Yu clenched his fists, pounded the ground frantically, and stared at Fei Yuzhen's departing back. Damn it, damn it, damn it. I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you sooner or later. I'll remember you, you bastard. As the sun was setting, Xiao Yu used the stolen money to change himself into clean clothes and walked quickly towards Doshan. He knew the existence of demons, and he knew that the old man living there was a trainer of the Demon Slayer Corps. Most importantly, the salary of the Demon Slayer Corps was very high. As long as he could join Demon Slayer Corps, you don't have to worry about your livelihood in this life, even if you become the lowest level GUI class member. Thinking of this, the corners of his mouth can't help but rise. As you walked up the mountainside, he looked down at the town in the distance, with a look of disdainful arrogance on his face. Those idiots may not even have heard of ghosts. Haha. Stupid ordinary people, I curse you to be eaten by ghosts sooner or later. Realizing the difference between himself and those ordinary people, Yu felt a sense of superiority. Kid, you are a stranger. Why did you come to Doshan? Just when Zio was feeling proud, a serious and kind voice sounded. He looked in the direction of the voice and saw an old man leaning on a cane. Can this kind of person be a trainer of the Demon Slayer Corps? Is there no one available in the Demon Slayer Corps? Disappointment flashed across Zio's eyes, but the person in front of him was almost the same as what he had asked. He immediately adjusted his mood and knelt down in front of old man Kawashima with a plop. He showed hypocritical sadness and his tone was extremely firm. Senior, I know you are a trainer of the Demon Slayer Corps. Please accept me as your apprentice. I came here from afar just to become a disciple and avenge my family members who were killed by demons. Xiao Yu kowtowed while crying, his attitude was extremely sincere, especially the tragic experience of his family being killed by ghosts, which really touched the old man's heart. While he was crying, Fei Yuzhen walked past him and teased. You are quite miserable, young man. Chapter 36. Old man Kawashima gave Fei Yuzhen a knife and taught him a lesson in a bad mood. Zhen, don't embarrass me here, this kind of thing is not funny at all. Get out. The old man kicked Fei Yuzhen away, after all, he didn't know what kind of scum Xiaoyu was. Kid, get up. Have you eaten? Let's talk about becoming my disciple later. Thank you, old senior. Xiaoyu pretended to be very moved and kowtowed several times in succession. He could only pray that this guy didn't tell tales. It's really unlucky for 8 lifetimes. This guy turned out to be Doshan's disciple. Damn it. Fei Yuzhen folded his hands in front of his chest, his eyes rolling. The old man was a kind person with a sharp tongue and a soft heart. He was not a casual person. You want to be my junior brother? Dream on. See how I deal with you. Xiao Yu did not stand up, and kept asking. Senior, I only ask you to accept me as your apprentice, otherwise I will kneel here forever. Please, I want to kill demons, I want to join the Demon Slayer Corps. Bang! He knocked his head heavily, and his forehead collided with the ground with a crisp sound. When he raised his head, his forehead was already red and swollen, and blood slowly seeped out from the wound and flowed down his cheek. However, he seemed to feel no pain, still staring at the front, his blue eyes flashing with a heart-pounding brilliance, which was a kind of hatred and resentment that could not be concealed. This hatred for demons did not seem to be acted at all, because he glanced at Fei Yuzhen from the corner of his eye, and the enemy was there, which was really a true expression of his feelings. Alas! The old man sighed, this kid was too stubborn, it was all the evil ghost's fault. Forget it, you come with me, if you want to become my disciple you must pass my test, otherwise you will die if you don't fight ghosts. Thank you, senior. Zio was overjoyed, but he was more resentful of the old man. Damn old man, you broke my head, and you pretended to care about me. Master, I suddenly remembered that I have something to do, bye. Fei Yu-chen left the scene quickly and ran down the mountain without looking back. There were some things he couldn't say clearly, otherwise it would seem too targeted, but he still had those little brothers. The test of Mr. Kwangdao was simple and rough, that is, you could enter if you could meet him before sunset. He handed a wooden sword to Ziu, and at the same time put one hand behind his back, with a serious and solemn expression. Do your best, come on. Xiao Yu clenched his wooden sword, and a subtle contempt flashed in his eyes. A disabled old man, why are you pretending? I'll break your other leg. He rushed forward with the sword confidently. The result of underestimating the enemy was to be beaten violently, especially the old man in the trial state. Xiao Yu was swept away by a sword before he even got close, and then fell heavily to the ground. Ah! He felt that his arm was about to break, and the naive thoughts in his mind disappeared. Such a strong old man, tisk, he deliberately didn't want me to pass. For money, for power, and to revenge those who bullied him, Xiao Yu burst out with primitive power. He shouted and rushed towards the old man, and then was beaten away again and again, even though he was covered with scars, he didn't care at all. The sun was setting in the west, and it would sink into the mountains in a short time. The agreed time was coming, but Xiao Yu had not met the old man once. But the old man was quite satisfied with his perseverance. He was a good seedling. If he was trained well, he could contribute to the Demon Slayer Corps. Unfortunately, the old man didn't know how Zio cursed him in his heart, let alone his selfish character. No matter how the old man trained him, he was just an ungrateful person. Ah! I want revenge. Zio's face was bruised and purple, and his roar made his face look unrecognizable. The old man let Zio off with this knife. He recognized Zio's perseverance and talent, although it was far inferior to that of the eldest disciple. The wooden sword rubbed against the corner of the old man's clothes, and Zio stumbled. Boy, perseverance is good, this is very important. You. Before the old man finished speaking, a childish voice sounded. Brothers, the thief is here, beat him. Shota led 7 or 8 young boys up the hillside, they were determined to complete the task assigned by the boss. Xiao Yu was stunned, he knew it must be that damn red-haired guy who did it. Bastard! Xiao Yu's eyes were wide open, and the cold murderous intent was undisguisedly pressed towards Shota and the other children. It happened that the old man saw this scene, he was surprised, why did Xiao Yu have murderous intent in his eyes, why did Shota and his friends beat him? Stop, stop, stop! The old man stood in the middle, and just standing there scared Shota and the others so much that they dared not move. Speak clearly, why did you come to my mountain to beat people for no reason? Grandpa Jigoro, that guy is a bad guy, he robbed our money. Yes, 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 he will beat us if we don't give him money. He also stole money, I saw it, but he said he would kill me if I told anyone. But the boss said that we can't cover up evil people, that's wrong. 8 or 9 children listed the crimes of Gyoya one after another. Hearing this, old man Kawashima frowned, he has been vigorous and resolute in his life, and he can't stand those who steal and bully the weak the most. He turned his head to look at Zio lying on the ground. The murderous aura accumulated over decades almost materialized. He asked word by word. Zio, is what they said true? Instantly, Zio felt that his heart had stopped. The biting cold wrapped around him, and he was trembling with fear. Soon, desire overwhelmed fear. He climbed up with difficulty, looking like he would rather die than surrender, and said, "I didn't steal or rob," they said. "Nonsense." "Oh." The old man turned his head to look at Shota and the others, and they were so scared that they dared not move. "Did you lie?" Under such pressure, it is extremely difficult to lie, especially for children. But Shota and the others didn't need to lie at all, they said the truth. "Grandpa Sai Wulang, we didn't lie. Brother Zhen helped us get the money back. That guy came to the town a few days ago. The boss hadn't come back at that time. He bullied us every day." The little guys were not afraid at all and confronted the old man directly. Alas! The old man sighed. Did he make a mistake? Stealing and lying, this kid, Xiaoyu, has bad intentions. Suddenly, the old man turned into a golden lightning. When Xiaoyu reacted, the blade with cold light was already against his throat. If he could still say that under death, it proved that he didn't lie. Now it was Xiaoyu's turn to panic. He just wanted money and didn't want to die. "Say it again, did you do those things?" the old man questioned. Yao Yu watched a drop of blood slide down the cold blade, and felt a stinging pain in his neck. His desire did not overcome his fear of death. "I did it, kill me!" he roared like a hysterical madman. The old man put away the knife, but it was a pity for his perseverance. "Go away, I don't accept people with bad intentions." Chapter 37. Jun was desperate, just like a climber who was only one step away from climbing a mountain, but at this moment, all his efforts, no, all his performances were in vain. He stood up and staggered past the old man and Shota. In addition to selfishness, his heart was also wrapped in a thick cocoon, a cocoon called hatred. But all this was the result of his own fault, but a selfish person can never blame himself. As night fell, Jun left Doshan town in despair. He hated this place. Fei Yuzhen rushed home slowly. The old man sat at the door. He lowered his head and put his hands on his chin. He was in a complicated mood and questioned his ability to judge people. For a moment, the old man had the idea of no longer accepting disciples. Fei Yuzhen. The old man suddenly called his disciple's name. He rarely called him like this, but Fei Yuzhen was startled. "Did you call Shota and the others?" "Ah ha ha ha, what are you talking about, old man? I don't know." Fei Yuzhen scratched the back of his head, looking at the old man's sharp eyes, feeling guilty. But the old man's next words made Fei Yuzhen dumbfounded. "You smile when you lie, and that smile is different from usual." Alas! Fei Yuzhen was helpless. When will the old man learn to read micro-expressions? "Why don't you become a psychologist?" "Yeah, Ziyu is not a good guy. I am thinking about you." He sat next to the old man and comforted himself, "But you have to believe in your own vision of people. Ziyu is too good at acting. It's not your fault." He pointed at himself and boasted without any sense of disobedience, "Look at me, regardless of talent, my character is also top-notch. This shows that it is not your problem at all, old man. If it really doesn't work, let's practice more in the future." That's the truth. The old man knew that it was the apprentice who was comforting him, but he just felt something was wrong. Soon, he reacted and this kid was teaching him a lesson. He hit Fei Yuzhen with a knife and said unhappily, "Good guy, you are teaching me a lesson. Are you the master or am I the master, little bastard?" The more the old man talked, the more he felt something was wrong. Did this kid want to rub his head just now? So, he didn't bother to think too much, picked up the wooden sword and hit Fei Yuzhen, determined to let this guy know who is the boss of this family. Fei Yuzhen dodged easily and looked at the old man with a confused face. "You still want me to practice more? I have seen more people than you have eaten. Also, if you have something to say, why do you involve those little guys? Did you practice sword today?" Fei Yuzhen shouted in a long voice, and complained while running, "Old man, I eat 3 bowls of rice a day, maybe I have seen more people than you have seen." "Traitor, you dare to talk back, stop right there." The old man returned to his previous vigorous and violent style, and the brilliance in his eyes returned. Doshan was still the same, the young one ran in front and the old one chased behind. The appearance of Gyoyo was just a small episode in Fei Yuzhen's life. Anyway, he couldn't affect the old man. As for how that guy survived, he didn't care. If that guy still turned into a ghost, he would just chop him up. He didn't take Gyoyu seriously at all. In October, the autumn was getting stronger, and the leaves gradually turned yellow. With the blowing of the autumn wind, they were like dancing butterflies, slowly falling from the branches, gently covering the ground, forming a thick golden carpet. Doshin was dyed with a layer of golden color, like a golden ocean. In the mountain trail covered with fallen leaves, a tall and mighty figure was slowly climbing the mountain. He wore a red fireman mask and held a sun-wheel sword in his arms. Ding-ling! The wind chimes hanging under the man's hat made a crisp sound, which was particularly beautiful with the rustling sound of fallen leaves under his feet. The man held the knife in a strange way, as if he was holding his child in his arms, showing his tenderness. Hotaru Tetsuzuka, from the knife maker village, is a fanatical knife chef with a weird and paranoid personality. He will hunt down every human who breaks the Nichiren sword. He came to the cabin halfway up the mountain, knocked on the door, and then waited quietly with the knife in his arms. "Who is it?" "Hello, you." "I'll go." The moment the door was opened, Fei Chen couldn't speak clearly, and he was so scared that he quickly closed the door. Hotaru Tetsuzuka frowned, thinking that this guy was really rude. Soon, the door opened again, and Fei Chen warmly invited Hotaru Tetsuzuka in. Pastries and tea were all served. He was afraid of neglecting this ancestor, and even more afraid that he would suddenly take out a kitchen knife from his arms. Tetsuzuka Hotaru still held the knife tightly, and his eyes shot out from under the fireman's mask, peeping at Feiyuzhen without any concealment. That look was like an old father who was about to send his daughter to marry, but it was as if the other side was a yellow-haired man, and the old father's heart was broken. "Ha ha ha!" Feiyuzhen laughed to cover up the embarrassment. "Can you give me the knife?" "Name?" Tetsuzuka Hotaru answered the question irrelevantly, but asked like an interrogation. "Tiendao Feiyuzhen." "Address?" "Momoyama." Feiyuzhen felt like sitting on pins and needles, as if a thorn was in his back. "Big brother, you came to Momoyama, do you still need to ask this? Are you sure you can protect this knife?" "Feiyuzhen. Shouldn't the knife protect me?" "Sure." Feiyuzhen nodded like a chicken pecking at rice, with an unquestionable firm look in his eyes. "Yet." Tetsuzuka Hotaru nodded, with a good attitude, "he should be a guy worthy of trust. Here you go." He reluctantly handed the knife to Feiyuzhen. Feiyuzhen carefully took it. So, a tug-of-war game began. "No, brother, you should let go." "I let go." Tetsuzuka Hotaru tightly grasped the scabbard and said very seriously, "You can't even get it, you'd better stay here and retire." He muttered in a low voice that his knife must be handed over to a powerful swordsman, otherwise it will be covered in dust. "Then I'm sorry." Feiyuzhen didn't dare to exert his strength just now because he was afraid of being chopped by a kitchen knife. Now that he has spoken, he can only exert his full strength. Soon, Tetsuzuka Hotaru experienced a roller coaster ride. When he came to his senses, the knife was already in Feiyuzhen's hand. "Damn it! Can't you be gentle? Do you want to break the knife? Asshole!" Superscript 3. As he said that, he reached his hand into his arms. Feiyuzhen hurriedly held the other party down, thinking that you told me to use force. "Stop, stop, stop. Now that the Nichiren blade is in my hands, I will definitely not let it get dusty. Don't you want to see what the knife with the title of color-changing blade will become in my hands?" Hearing this, Tetsuzuka Hotaru calmed down, and he stared at Feiyuzhen with burning eyes. Feiyuzhen held the handle of the knife tightly, and then pulled it out skillfully. Chapter 38. The sun-wheel sword had just been unsheathed, and the silver blade was like solid ice that had not melted for thousands of years. It was cold and sharp, and the blade reflected Feiyuzhen's golden eyes, and the killing aura of the weapon was unstoppable. What a good sword! Feiyuzhen couldn't help but sigh. Only those who use the sword know how good the craftsmanship of this sword is. The temper of Gangtsuka Hotaru is worthy of his sword. Gradually, the five-color streamer was as gorgeous as a meteor across the night sky, flowing slowly along the snow-white blade, winding and circling up, and they climbed all the way until they reached the tip of the blade and stopped. However, the color change was not only that. The back of the sun-wheel sword was covered with a layer of ink-colored coat at a speed visible to the naked eye, just like the mysterious and vast starry sky. The colorless streamer on the blade turned into a dragon-like pattern engraved into the sword. "Hey!" Gangtsuka Hotaru exclaimed. Of course, he was not surprised but disgusted. The pure-colored sun-wheel sword was in line with his aesthetics. Damn it! What the hell is this? It's so ugly. Tetsuzuka Hotaru looked at Toma with a curse, as if to say I've been waiting for a long time, and you just gave me this. Toma, Omega. He thought it was pretty good, after all, killing ghosts was the right way, probably because he had learned too many breathing methods and mixed them together. Seeing that Toma was about to put his hand into his arms again, Toma rushed out of the house in a hurry. Wait for me, I'll be back soon. After a while, Toma came back with a bag of mitarashi dango, which was Toma's favorite food. Hey! He looked at the dango in confusion, and then silently took out his hand that was in his arms. After eating the dango, he glanced at Toma, giving him a chill. Tetsuzuka Hotaru, thank you for the dumplings. Also, if you break the knife, I will definitely kill you, bye. Telling Toma his name, he also remembered the other's name, and was puzzled why this guy knew what he liked to eat. After sending this great god away, Toma could understand the feelings of the little angel Tanjiro in the future. In the evening, the old man led a member of the Yin team back. He happened to meet that the other party came to give Toma a uniform. The members of Yin usually wear black uniforms, hoods, and black and white striped masks, which are very distinctive. Toma tried the uniform and it fit well. Because it was getting dark, the old man kept this member. After dinner, the Yin team found the leisurely Toma on a big tree in the peach forest. Are you okay? Because this member had never spoken, Toma thought that the other party could not hear, so he was particularly concerned. He jumped down from the tree, wrote in the small notebook, and handed it to the other party. Soon, the other party returned the small notebook. Hello, my name is Yin, and someone named Koko Shinobu asked me to bring you a letter. Fuck. Is it true? Brother Yin, you are such a good person, please accept my respect. Yin just nodded, then took out a letter from his arms and handed it to Fei-Yuchen. He took the letter, and a faint scent of wisteria rushed into his nose. After confirming the smell, it was definitely Shinobu's handwriting. Fei-Yuchen jumped with the letter, like a little kid who got his favorite toy. Shinobu wrote back to me, ha ha ha. I am so happy. He he he. After holding the letter and grinning for a long time, he carefully opened the letter. Zhen, long time no see, I miss you so much. Congratulations on passing the final selection. I am happy for you. You will definitely become the most powerful swordsman. Also, thank you very much for the data you provided. I have improved it and developed the second generation of wisteria poison. Oh, yes, I created a new breathing method that belongs to me based on the water breathing. How about it? I am awesome, he he he. Looking forward to meeting you, you must do your best on the mission. Woo woo woo. I want to meet you too, Shinobu. Fei-Yuchen read it several times in succession. Seeing that there was no one around, he secretly put the letter close to his nose and then took a deep breath. It smells like Shinobu, it smells good. Oh my god. I won't be considered a pervert, will I? He hurriedly stopped his perverted behavior and put away the letter like a treasure. Little did he know that all his actions were seen by Yin not far away. Of course, he also saw it inadvertently, and then ran away in a panic. In the middle of the night, Fei-Yuchen was so excited that he couldn't sleep. After all, he received Shinobu's letter. As usual, he lay on the roof leisurely and looked up at the bright starry sky. The breeze blew gently, bringing a hint of coolness, blowing his hair and clothes. He lay quietly on the roof, enjoying the tranquility and beauty. The only thing that made him feel lost was that the person who accompanied him to watch the stars was not there. Ah! Suddenly, one end of the ladder was placed on the eaves, and Yin climbed up tightly, holding a sign with words written on it. Brother Tiandao, why don't you sleep? Fei-Yuchen patted his side and motioned him to sit over. It would be good to have someone to talk to. He took out a notebook and wrote a sentence, Brother Yin, you don't understand that feeling, the feeling of missing someone. Yin replied, is it the person named Coco Ren? He continued to reply, of course, we have a super good relationship, and you will understand when Brother Yin meets the right person. Yin took the notebook and didn't reply again, but just stared at Fei-Yuchen blankly. His eyes were tender and affectionate, making Fei-Yuchen uncomfortable all over. Damn it! Brother Yin, you don't like men, do you? Fei-Yuchen pulled away at the speed of light and exclaimed, anyway Yin couldn't hear, I'm a real man. Yin tilted his head with a puzzled look, then lay down with his hands behind his head and looked up at the starry sky. Fei-Yuchen also lay back, continuing to miss the good days when Ren accompanied him to watch. After a while, he suddenly sat up, slapped his head, and said, "Oh! I'm too excited, I must write back to Ren." He did it right away. He stood up, but he didn't stand firmly and fell down. Yin, who was beside him, saw this and hurriedly pulled Fei Yuzhen back, otherwise he would fall off the roof. In this way, Fei Yuzhen pressed on Yin, and his hand accidentally pressed on the other's chest. "Brother Yin, thank you." He didn't care, after all, they were two grown men, but Yin's eyes flashed with shame and anger, and he pushed Fei Yuzhen away. Fei Yuzhen. Who knew that Yin, who had just stood up, was tripped by a tile and fell into Fei Yuzhen's arms with a bang. At the same time, a familiar and friendly fragrance filled his nose, and his mind went blank. "Brother Yin, what is your relationship with Coco Shinobu?" Yin sighed, and then a scolding sounded in Fei Yuzhen's ears. "Big idiot!" Yin Yi stretched out her hand and pulled off the mask, revealing her fair face. Her face was slightly flushed, as tempting as a ripe apple, and her pouting lips, with a hint of coquettishness and anger, glared at Fei Yuzhen with a look of regret. "It's Shinobu, not Yin." Chapter 39. Shinobu. Fei Yuzhen's voice was drawn out, his face was filled with uncontrollable joy, and his heart began to pound, as if it was about to jump out of his chest. There was a flicker of doubt in his eyes. After all, the scene in front of him was a bit too dreamy. "What's wrong?" Coco Shinobu smiled with curved eyebrows, holding her chin with both hands, her purple eyes flickering, and said playfully. "Surprised or not, unexpected or not?" "He he he." Fei Yuzhen nodded, this was something he could not even dream of. Calming down, he smiled and pointed at himself, reminding. "But can you get off me first?" "Of course, I like the current mode of getting along, he he." Coco Shinobu tilted her little head suspiciously, and soon she realized that she had been lying in Zhen's arms in an ambiguous way. "Ah!" Shinobu screamed and stood up, as if she was burned, and hurriedly got off Fei Yuzhen. She lowered her head, not daring to look into Fei Yuzhen's eyes. Her face was already red and hot, from her cheeks to her ears. Zhen knew all along that he was just deliberately not telling her. What a pervert! Coco Shinobu became more and more angry, and immediately kicked Fei Yuzhen, angrily scolding. "Damn hooligan!" Fei Yuzhen poked her hands innocently, blinking her eyes blankly. "What happened?" Coco Shinobu glared at him and said, "Wait for me." "Oh oh oh." Fei Yuzhen nodded like a chicken pecking at rice, and then sat up straight, like the most obedient child in kindergarten. Shinobu climbed down the ladder skillfully, and a moment later, she climbed up the ladder with a golden haori. "Here you go." Shinobu Coco pouted, looking like a little hamster hoarding food, and was obviously still upset about what happened just now. Fei Yuzhen took the haori, which was embroidered with a triangular pattern in the shape of a rice ball, and the word Zhen was embroidered in black thread on the lower right corner of the haori. The only flaw in this haori is that the technique is a bit unfamiliar, and it looks a bit strange. "Shinobu, what is this?" Fei Yuzhen was confused. "I embroidered it. It's my first time. If you don't like it, forget it." Shinobu Coco said that she didn't care, but the look of expecting praise could not be hidden. As soon as she finished speaking, Fei Yuzhen put on the haori directly. It fit her well. He showed a bright smile from the heart and said. "Thank you Shinobu, I can wear this haori for the rest of my life, he he he. I like it so much." As expected of Shinobu, she is not only a medical genius, but also a clever girl. Fei Yuzhen gave a thumbs up. If there was a tail behind him, he could shake it to the sky. Like. This sudden compliment made Shinobu Coco feel proud, but the little girl still pretended to be indifferent. Suddenly, a wooden sword brushed across the eaves and hit Hyama's head, and then the old man's cursing voice sounded. "Shinobu, why are you not sleeping in the middle of the night and shouting on the roof? Do you want to destroy the house? Get down!" After teaching his apprentice a lesson, the old man looked at Shinobu Coco again, his face became kinder at a speed visible to the naked eye, and his tone was much lighter. "Shinobu, the roof is windy, come down quickly. Don't let that kid fool you." Is the old man's double standard hidden now? Tonight, Hyama slept with Yuji in his arms, and the smile on his face never stopped. The sky was pale, and the holy blade flew from afar. It skillfully knocked on the window of Fei Yuzhen's room and landed next to him. It pecked at Fei Yuchen's forehead, and the silent wake-up service ended. Fei Yuchen sat up with his forehead covered. The holy blade looked at Fei Yuchen with contempt and urged, "You are too slow, they are all on a mission, useless master. Am I the master or are you the master?" Fei Yuchen muttered, but the they that the holy blade was talking about must be the eldest brother and his friends. Don't those two guys need to rest at night? Hurry, 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 there are ghosts in the seaside town. The holy blade kept urging, and Fei Yuchen also quickly put on the team uniform, put on the Haori sewn by Shinobu himself, picked up the knife and rushed out of the house. The old man and Koko Shinobu had been waiting outside the door. The old man gave Fei Yuchen a big bag with dry food for the road. "Be careful and do what you can." When he really sent his apprentice out to perform the mission, the old man began to worry. He knew how dangerous it was to kill a demon. But the bird had grown up and had to spread its wings and fly high. All he could do was trust his apprentice. "Really, come on." Butterfly Ninja smiled like a flower, and kept his eyes fixed on him. Stared at Fei Yuchen, "I'll wait for your good news at the headquarters." "Yes. I'm off." The holy blade led the way, and Fei Yuchen followed closely. Only actual combat and death can create a powerful swordsman. He was full of confidence in the first mission. Fei Yuchen's goal was to kill Muzan. Fish Scale Village. At sunset, the sea was high tide, and layer after layer of waves rolled at the end of the sea, sparkling. This small coastal fishing village was the destination of Fei Yuchen's trip. At this moment, our pig's feet were sitting under a coconut tree at the entrance of the village because they had eaten all the dry food. "Who can give me a bite to eat? I'm starving to death." "It's really a death before the mission is accomplished. Will I starve to death before I kill Muzan?" Under the fiery sunset, a girl carrying a fish basket ran towards Fei Yuchen quickly under the guidance of the holy blade. The girl was wearing washed-out clothes. It was the first time she had seen a crow that could speak human language. She didn't want anyone to starve to death at the entrance of the village, so she followed. "Hey! There really is someone." Looking at Fei Yuchen, who was so hungry that his eyes were full of stars, the girl looked at Shen Gren and asked with a smile. "Is he your master?" Shen Gren disliked Fei Yuchen for being so embarrassing, turned his head aside, and said in a cold tone. "I don't know him, I just happened to pass by." The girl took off her backpack and handed the unfinished rice ball to Fei Yuchen. "It's food, thank you, good man." Fei Yuchen's eyes lit up, and he ate all the rice balls in no time, but it was a pity that it was not enough. He immediately stuffed a stack of money into the girl's pocket and said, "Hello. I'm a traveler. Are you from this village?" "Traveler." The girl was a little confused. "What are you doing in Yulin village? If you're fleeing famine, you'd better leave immediately. It's not peaceful here recently." "Goodbye, Mr. Traveler." The girl returned the money to Fei Yuchen, but a few rice balls were not worth that much money. The other party said a lot, but Fei Yuchen only cared about 3 words, that is, not peaceful. It's right that it's not peaceful, which means there are really ghosts here. "Renzi, help me keep an eye on it. I'm going to the town to have a full meal first, hehe." "It's Shen Gren, you useless master." Shen Gren glared at Fei Yuchen who ran away, and Ya Sheng had never been so speechless. Chapter 40. In the middle of the night, on the path leading to Yulin village, Fei Yuchen was eating a pig's trotter in one hand and a pig's elbow in the other, his mouth full of oil. He was very full now, and felt that he could kill the boss with one knife. As he walked, Fei Yuchen suddenly felt a piercing chill coming from behind him. He was shocked and turned around suddenly, only to see a figure standing quietly not far behind him. Under the clear moonlight, he saw it clearly. It was a strange combination, a shark's head on a human body. There was no doubt that it was a ghost. The shark ghost was white all over, but it was oily white, as if it was painted with white latex paint all over its body. It closed its eyes tightly and did not move. Even the killing intent just now disappeared. There was no sense of oppression, no threat, this ghost was a real chicken. This was Fei Yuchen's judgment of the shark ghost, but he always felt that the other party's breath was strange. The man and the ghost confronted each other for several minutes, and the ghost kept his eyes closed and did not move. At this time, Fei Yuchen had finished eating the pig's trotter, and he threw the bones at the shark ghost as a hidden weapon. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. With the blessing of Fei Yuchen's powerful hand, each bone flew out at an astonishing speed with the sound of breaking through the air, as fast as a bullet. In the blink of an eye, these bones shot into the shark ghost's body like raindrops, penetrated its hard skin, and embedded deeply into it. Strangely, the other party did not bleed a drop of blood, and remained motionless like a sculpture. Illusion? Being controlled? Or a clone? Fei Yuzhen instantly had a few guesses, but the shark ghost opened his eyes. It was a pair of eyes with only white eyes, and there was a word engraved in its left eye. Next one. The moment he saw those two words, Fei Yuzhen immediately threw away the half-eaten elbow, and all the cells in his body were cheering. Lower string? Could it be that I will be promoted to a pillar on my first mission? At the same time, the shark ghost moved, as fast as a flash of lightning, and disappeared in the blink of an eye, leaving only a series of white afterimages flickering on its trajectory. Similarly, Fei Yuzhen also disappeared in the same place, and his body exuded a deep blue fighting spirit. Countless afterimages began to condense around the shark ghost, and finally formed the shape of a dragon. The dragon head was suspended above the head of the shark ghost, with a blue blade wind in its mouth. Breathing of Tao water form walking dragon. Fei Yuzhen was suspended at the position of the dragon head, and the sword in his hand flashed with cold light. He swung it hard, and a dazzling sword light cut through the void, like a galaxy pouring down. All this happened in just a few seconds. The shark head flew out and exploded in the night sky, but what sprayed down was not flesh and blood but milky white water. Fei Yuzhen quickly distanced himself from the demon's body. He had just dodged a few steps when the body exploded, and milky white blood splashed all over the ground. Something was wrong, the feel was wrong, and the strength was wrong. Although Fei Yuzhen was not sure about his own strength, the 12 demon moons should not be so weak. There was no blood demon art, no sense of avoidance, only seemingly extremely fast speed and irrational collision. This guy should be a clone or something. After the fight, he confirmed his guess. But this means that the demon behind the fish scale village is the lower string one. Quite interesting. Fei Yuzhen sheathed the knife, and when he got closer, the pool of blood disappeared, as if nothing had happened. Alas! I waited in vain and wasted half an elbow, damn it! Without stopping, he quickly ran to the coconut tree at the entrance of the village, looked up, and saw that one crow had turned into two. Saint Blade, this is... When Fei Yuzhen saw it clearly, he exclaimed, "Fuck, Kanzaburo! Kanzaburo is the crow of Tomioka Jiyu, he is very old, an elder among the crows, and has great prestige. Its presence means that Jiyu is also here." "Hello!" Kanzaburo greeted Fei Yuzhen, and its voice sounded like a steady and vicissitudes of life old man. "Hello!" Fei Yuzhen crossed his arms and looked around, but he didn't see where Jiyu was hiding. This shouldn't be. Jiyu is not the kind of guy who likes to play pranks on people. Where is Jiyu? He looked at Kanzaburo and asked. Jiyu was knocked unconscious by the villagers and locked up. Kanzaburo said calmly. From his tone, it can be heard that Jiyu was not in danger for the time being. Ah, this. Haiwama was confused by what Kanzaburo said. Why was he locked up by the villagers? Then, Kanzaburo roughly explained the situation to Haiwama. Jiyu was a day he came to Yulin village. He found a fish-headed ghost next to the village's shrine. When he chopped the ghost, he destroyed the shrine. Yi Yong's reason was simple, because the shrine enshrined a fish-headed monster, exactly the same as the ghost he chopped. But he knew it was a ghost, but the villagers didn't know. In the eyes of the villagers, it was just a stranger who destroyed the shrine. Although Yi Yong argued with reason, how could the villagers believe him? In addition, he would never attack ordinary people. In the chaos, he was knocked unconscious by the villagers. Fei Yuzhen was speechless for a while. Can't we avoid it if we can't talk? Do we have to reason with others? This is very Yi Yong, because he knows that he is right and for the good of the villagers, but he just can't express it. Fei Yuzhen could completely imagine the scene at that time. After Yi Yong smashed the shrine with a knife, he told the villagers with a paralyzed expression of "You owe me 100 million. This thing is not good for you. It is a ghost, not a god. Forget it, tell me where Yi Yong is imprisoned, and I will go to save him." Kanzaburo was stunned for a moment, and then he looked like he was racking his brains. It can be seen that he was recalling, and he was trying very hard. There is no way, Kanzaburo is old and his memory is not very good, which is understandable. After a moment, Kanzaburo was shocked and said loudly, "Sorry, I forgot." Hearing this, Fei Yuzhen was petrified on the spot. The holy blade on the side couldn't bear to watch it anymore, so he added, that little girl might know where Jiyu was imprisoned. Renzi, how did you know? Senior Kanzaburo told me. Kanzaburo shook his head and said embarrassedly, I forgot. Fei-Yujin was very depressed. Kanzaburo's memory was the best, but it was also thanks to his poor memory. Otherwise, according to the plot, when Muzan attacked Tanjiro's family, Tanjiro would have to build another grave for a stranger. How do I get to that girl's house? Take me there. Okay. The holy blade nodded and flew high, while Kanzaburo stood on Fei-Yujin's shoulder to take a ride. He took advantage of the night to sneak into Yuling village, and he could indeed see many destroyed shrines along the way. I'll go. Jiyu was here to do demolition, right? He demolished 25 shrines. Fei-Yujin counted them and sighed, thinking that it was not unreasonable for that guy to be hit with a club. This is very brave.